Wendy Bell Radio is live.
We're so mental. It's not even funny. So how about this Graham Allen guy who's
don't be bad-mouthing other people.
Nah, he's pimp-whoring and doing his whatever he's doing.
Comment.
Man pimping for comments. See, I don't know, guys.
He gets a ton compared to us.
There's an element of that I think is fine, and then there's an element of that I think is not. I don't know. I think gimmicks are tough, and it's all about an algorithm, right? It's all about, can you break into the whatever? And it's like, wow. That's why when you guys rumble, when you guys give us the thumbs up, it matters.
Deal.
It's a huge deal. Just a huge deal. So it's great to be with you. Hi, Brock, how are you?
I'm good.
Blah. There we go.
How are you?
I am fine. So I want to, as we start getting out of the gates here, I want to tell you guys about something that Rumble called me about a couple weeks ago, and they floated this idea of something that's happening this weekend.
I'm kind of excited.
And I really want you to know about it. One, it's free. Two, it's teaching you about artificial intelligence. Like I hear about AI this, we need to power AI. We need elements and minerals for AI. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. What does artificial intelligence mean? How does it benefit you? How can it make your life easier? How can you learn the ins and outs so that you don't lose your job or get replaced by something that's not real? That's the whole point of this thing going on this weekend, and I want to tell you about it. It's called Outskill, and it's very cool. It is an AI-focused education platform that's designed to help you actually apply artificial intelligence in your work. So if you're going at this with some knowledge or zero knowledge all weekend long, literally, what is it? It's 16 hours. It's 8 hours on Saturday. It's 8 hours on Sunday. You come and go, hop in and out as you wish. Hit that QR code right there. You fill out your name. They give you a link. You get to join in. Literally, it costs you nothing. It is a 2-day live AI mastermind. That's what they're calling it. What's happening in the AI world, teaching you everything you need to know. Condenses the experience of 100 practitioners from companies including NVIDIA and Microsoft who've witnessed and built through the AI boom. So in 16 hours, you're going to master building artificial intelligence agents that plan, execute, and report for you. You're going to automate workflows that run even as you're asleep at night. You're going to connect tools like Sheets, Notions, and other platforms to create profitable systems. And you're going to use artificial intelligence to save hours every week and get an unfair advantage on other people you work with. Period. That's what it is. So why settle for less when you can go back with actually free bonuses too? They're going to offer incentives. You could walk away from this thing $5,000. Like, wait, what is this? All you need to do is hover above that QR code. Okay. I want you to do that. Or, and I think they have, isn't there a link? Yes. It's an odd link.
It's description.
It's link.outskill.com and then / Wendy Bell. So if you go down in the comments, you go down underneath the video box to the left of the video box, you'll find the link to this. I think it's really interesting. I'm going to talk to Michael about it.
I'd like to use it for making, if for no other reason, learning how to really use AI to make thumbnail.
Doing things like that to helping me research topics for the show or like collate information. I'm all about it. So I think it's really cool. That QR code also down below. It's called Outskill. And literally it's free at your fingertips. 100+ people who've been doing it forever.
I like free.
I know. I like tulip blooms.
I
got a tulip
feet this morning.
Listen to this. This is from Robin. Robin says, hey, Wendy and Brock, I received my tulip blooms today in the mail. I could hardly wait to get it in the house, to unwrap it and squirt some in my hand. Felt amazing. Ready to do it again before I go to bed. Thank you. We'll be rubbing some on my feet as well. Thanks, Brock, for the tip.
Do it on your feet. Robin. Get a foot massager.
Oh my gosh.
Before 15 minutes before you leave for work.
Literally, you could be that $100 gets you in and out the door. This and then a foot massager. I think together you'd be like $100.
No, about 130.
130. Yeah. This is tulip blooms tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. Look, it says massaging oil. Yeah, it's massaging oil with essential oils, soothing essential oils, which smell fabulous. It soaks into your skin. So if you have super dry cuticles or fingers or feet, your heel, your toes, you get calluses.
Wendy won't rub it on my feet.
Rub it on, put on your socks, and be like, I love that girl. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. There is a 10% discount for you. Everything that I've tried from them is all that.
It's fantastic.
I know.
It just is.
So nice.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. Well, it's kind of interesting because yesterday we were talking about the end of this war in Iran. You got the president. He's ready to push the button. He's like, look, whomever is negotiating on the side of Iran with this president apparently doesn't understand that he does not like playing games. And he's like, basically, I'll bomb you into the middle of next week. You're either going to come to the table, you're going to tell the truth, you're going to stop lying to the media, you're going to stop spreading your garbage propaganda, or you're going to be permanently erased. So what is it? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, things heating up, or are they? This is the Wendy Bell radio program, wendybellradio.com. I hope you join along the live video stream. Hang out for a while. It's common sense conservative values with the promise that I will not lie to you, okay? That's the deal. I'm glad you're here. Thanks, and welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, I like to give props where they are due, and Carl Higbee, a definite boyfriend of mine, though he is unaware of that fact, over at Newsmax, had a monologue the other day that Brock in particular liked so much. And Brock, what was it about? It was about pain. It was about punishment. What was that again?
It was about all the lawfare that they're doing with people in the past and
basically
Trump and everything.
Punishing you is the name of the game, making you feel pain, whether it's uncertainty, which I think sometimes can be worse than physical pain, whether you're worried about your safety or your finances or your children or the future of Western civilization, whatever it is that you chew on. The Democrats, the deep state, uniparty, people who suck, need you to suffer. They are punishing you. I believe the punishment is because you people, capital Y, capital P, you people did this to them. You stopped the gravy train. How dare you? You stood up and you decided that you wanted something better. You wanted to decide for yourself. You didn't want them to tell you it was going to be Hillary. You didn't want Hillary. Hillary sucked. Hillary has always sucked. You didn't want a president who sucked. And so what did you do? you people who they are intent on punishing. You voted for the one guy who had his finger on the chain of the drain of the swamp and was like, oh yeah, who wants to pull it with me? Drain the swamp. He's up there with lock her up, right? I believe that everything the way Carl Higbie had said in his monologue, saying, you know what, punishment, that's the plan. That's the whole thing. They need us wounded and needy. They need to break you. Look, I'm going to say something right now. If you live in a Democrat blue hellscape, and I'm going to say Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is one of those things, okay? Don't come to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Don't come, because personally, it is embarrassing, because somewhere along your journey, there is going to be a car ride, whether it's from the airport or it's from another zip code. You're going to drive into southwestern Pennsylvania, and it is embarrassing. The garbage, the filth, the lack of any kind of dignity, respect. It looks like we live in a slum. You know, the only saving grace about living in Pittsburgh right now is the NFL draft, I guess, is coming to town. So there's like 4 people out picking up a little bit of garbage. So at least for the cameras, it doesn't look like such a nightmare. It's disgusting. That's by design, ladies and gentlemen. Why ever would you want to live in a safe, clean, happy, beautiful, green, manicured, blooming environment? Why would you ever want that? Why do you think they take perfectly reasonable streets and put all sorts of traffic barriers and cones and speed humps and stupid roundabouts and yields that didn't exist and prevent you from turning right on red? It's all to gum up the works, to slow you down, to make everything suck just a little bit more. Why? They will never forgive you, ladies and gentlemen, because you put a spike strip on their gravy train. You're like, no, I don't think so. And then all of a sudden, the Russia collusion thing had to be born. Something hastefully, poorly executed by a bunch of dimwits who were so used to getting away with it. And they went with knives out and the guns locked and loaded to take down the man that you and I wanted to save this country. Pain is the punishment, and the punishment is the plan. Think about what they did to you during COVID. They didn't give you choices. They didn't give you options. They gave you fear. They gave you breathless breaking news reports, death updates. They fiddled with the coroner's reports so that the numbers were inflated so that you would do what? Oh my gosh! Stay home. Stay calm. Stay voting by mail. All 15 of you, right? Think about what they did to education. Why is it that anything they touch goes to crap? I want to share a few numbers with you guys because I was just curious. You know, we don't get to vote on war, do we? Nobody comes to us and says, hey, this is sort of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, some kind of a game show, right? Everybody's got a clicker. We're going to come out. We're going to do a consensus thing, all right? We want to know, what do you guys think about going into this dirtbag country? Good people, possibly, and the Iranians. Very nasty regime. What do you think we go in and we dismantle it? Number 1, blow the crap out of them. Number 2, I don't think that's nice. And let people decide. Because you know what? Guess how much money you and I have spent on war since 2000. Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, helping Israel and Yemen. $8 trillion, you guys. Since 9/11, I should say. $8 trillion. That's $24,000 a person, ladies and gentlemen, if we're going to do the math. How about public education? How much you pay for that? You've spent $25 trillion as an American taxpayer since the year 2000. For what? Failure. We have illiterate children in this country and teachers who are more interested in grooming kids and getting them into the transition closet or to pay for their abortion than they are worried about teaching, I don't know, reading and math. $25 trillion. How about healthcare? How's that working for you guys? Doing real well with that. Obamacare helped you out a ton, brought everything down, your insurance. If you like your insurance, you can keep your insurance. If you like your doctor, you keep your... No, you can't. No, you can't. And you know what also isn't going to happen for you? It's not going to be affordable. So you know what you're not going to do? You're not going to go to the doctor because you can't afford it. $70 trillion we have spent in America on healthcare since the year 2000. Ladies and gentlemen, if we add it up for every single man, woman, and child in this country, deducting, of course, or reducing the number by 20 million illegal aliens, if we were to do the math, you and I individually have all paid more than $500,000 on just those three things: war, education, and healthcare. You guys feeling good about that? Feeling better? Feeling like you're getting your money's worth? Or do the taxes keep going up, the services keep going down, and there's garbage all over the side of the road because, taking care of your backyard is apparently a little too much for the blue states? Look, I don't like to share this news with you, but it's not like you don't already know. Pain and punishment. That's the plan. Donald Trump wants you to educate your children the best way you can. He wants it to be free. He wants there to be American academies of excellence that are rooted, steeped in tradition about the founding fathers. He wants you to get the best healthcare you can for quality prices, right? Lowest prices, most favored prices. He's already chipped away at it. What does he want to do with your children? He wants you to make the decisions for your children, not some bureaucrat, not some teacher, not some loser who sees your child as a piggy bank of money-making potential. This president wants you to live safely. He wants to blow up and eradicate the booga man that lives around every corner. He wants you to have peace through strength. Pain, ladies and gentlemen, punishment. How about we have a little easing of that? How about we have some healing? Well, if we're going to do that, we should probably start talking about the dumpster fire that is the state Commonwealth of Virginia. If I think Pennsylvania's got it bad, Virginia's got us knocked out. You ready to hear what they're doing with illegal alien dudes in high schools? Oh my. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Like literally, I want to invite my dad to come for a visit. I don't want to invite my dad to come for a visit until it's cleaned up. That's going to be summertime. It's like from the first, we'll just say when you set the clocks back, right? Fall forward, fall back, spring back, whatever it is.
Spring forward.
There's zero trash collection. The only benefit of snow is that it covers it up, right? And then when the snow melts, it's 5 months of nobody picking up the crap on the side of the roads.
I'm still in favor of chain gangs.
You and I hello, this has been my thing for how long? How long? Get your ass out there, put on a freaking jumpsuit, make it pink with stripes, and go pick up freaking garbage.
Or when I drive by the jail, there's homeless people there, and they have like this little, I don't know, apartment complex for them. Pay them. Pay them.
I want to tell you guys about Ghost Bed. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. Perhaps one of the most critical decisions you make in your life is one of those that you make almost on a dime. Like literally, if you went into a mattress store and laid down on it, are you really going to get the vibe of how you would feel if you were on your belly, frog belly out like this, right? And drooling as you're sleeping? No, it's hard to know. So when you're thinking, why would I buy a mattress online? Because they're glorious, because they're affordable, because they're therapeutically created by a guy who knows about pain and wants you never to feel it again, and because there's a pretty legit discount right now. How about that? 10% off ghostbed.com, offering our audience above and beyond their already low prices for the spring season. If you're waking up stiff, you're tossing and turning, you sleep hot, you feel awful when you wake up, it might be time. Go to ghostbed.com/Wendy. Use my name, Wendy, to get that 10%. And by the way, remember, sleep on it for 101 nights. And if you don't like it, they'll take it back. That's the guarantee. That's a pretty big guarantee. I don't think Mattress Outlet Incorporated is giving you that guarantee. Ghostbed will. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. Share the love. Wow, if I refer a friend, I could get paid. Right? They're great. You're going to love them. So don't go anywhere. The end of the show, Brock has today.
Oh, boy.
He's doing the last segment. I got a plane to catch. I'm going.
Might be a reason to tune out.
Why would anybody want to tune out? I'm going to be listening.
Sit back. Let it focus. When you hold pamphlets up, it
It's like blue state blues, this whole blue idea, the Democrats, all of the things that they do that are meant to drive you crazy, that are meant to ultimately have you succumb, throw in the towel, bend a knee and submit, just be like, please, live my life for me. That's what they want. They want to control, right? Virginia is out of control. And in fact, yes, it might be more of a dumpster fire than even New York, Maine, or even California. We're not talking about politician pay raises or skyrocketing taxes or any new laws that trample all over the Second Amendment, because that's going on too, I will tell you that. This is a story about illegal alien men being allowed to enroll in Virginia high schools up to the age of 22. How do you guys feel about that? What could possibly go wrong, right? We're going to take a grown man who's 19. We're going to allow him to enroll in high school where there are 14-year-old girls walking in the hallway. What's going to happen? Oh, yeah, they're going to get molested. Wait a minute. Is that what happened? Yes, it was. This is the story from ABC's 7 News. The story you literally have to hear to believe. In what world is this okay?
7 News was the first to report about an 18-year-old high school junior who's in the country illegally and has been charged with multiple counts of assault. He's accused of groping girls in the hallways of Fairfax High School. Tonight, 7 News is pressing Fairfax County leaders for answers, including whether this had been going on for months before he was arrested, as the lead prosecutor said in court. Our Nick Minock has this story, all new at 6.
These Fairfax County mothers say this man, Israel Flores Ortez, put his hands in between their daughter's legs and groped them in the hallway at Fairfax High School. More than a dozen girls have come forward to report Ortez did the same to them. Some of the students as young as 13 years old. Ortez will be 19 in June. He's a junior, and he's an illegal immigrant.
What do you think about your experience so far with the school system handling this situation?
Abysmal. I think from the very beginning, Fairfax County has attempted to diminish what happened to these girls. They have attempted to sweep it under the rug.
These parents say the school district withheld information about what was going on from families. The principal's email referenced the assaults as buttocks touching.
They are aware of what happened, and I'm disgusted.
I didn't think much of it when I got the email on Thursday night because it was pretty vague.
Stacy Langton has 2 daughters at Fairfax High. When she read the principal's letter, she thought it was nothing to be concerned about until she saw our reporting about what police say really happened.
Just thunderstruck by it. We're all angry. Who wants their daughters being sexually battered and groped in the hallways during classroom changes at school by adult men?
Can anybody explain to me what's going on with this war on women and why the vagina hat mafia out there isn't pissed about it? Where are you girls? You were banging on the doors of the Supreme Court when Brett Kavanaugh was being lied about. This is a demonstrable, actionable problem. You've got a dozen underage girls. I don't care if you're 50. I don't want somebody putting his hands up my skirt. And the school knew about it. And they downplayed it as though Al actually was just trying to grab their butt. That makes it much better. On what planet? Where are we? How do you defend this? So now this is where the story bounces back to the live reporter on the scene. Bill, thanks, Bob. Well, he says, look, this isn't the only problem in the Virginia school system. I was like, what?
These parents want answers, and some of them are calling on Fairfax County Public Schools to launch an independent, comprehensive investigation, similar to the investigations FCPS launched when there was a football recruiting scandal at Hayfield Secondary School and Fairfax High School, along with the investigation they launched at Centerville High School when staff members there were accused of funding and facilitating abortions for underage students. Today, I reached out to the Fairfax County School Board and the City of Fairfax School Board for a response. They have not responded. Nick Minock, 7 News.
Now, 7 News was the first to report this story, and we spoke exclusively with the victim's parents. We also learned immediately after his arrest earlier this month, ICE issued a detainer for Ortiz to deport him, but ICE says the Fairfax County Sheriff is not honoring that detainer.
In what world? Well, in a Democrat sanctuary hellscape. Can you imagine your daughter coming home and telling you that some rando guy who's 19 and shouldn't be in her high school, but can be until he's 22, because that's what the law says, put his hands between her legs? You'd be Scott Smith. I would be too, whose daughter years ago was anally raped by a boy pretending to be a girl who the school district in Loudoun County tried to support. And they bounced him to another school where he did it to another girl. Tell me now, exactly what pain and what punishment do Democrats want to foist upon us? To what end? To what end? I don't know. But I understand that Father Scott Smith, when he stood up to say to the men and women in the school board meeting, by the way, transgender boys who want to pretend they're girls can still rape my daughter. By the way, in Texas, you can be an illegal alien and be in high school up until 26. What? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, President Trump's Benjamin Netanyahu problem next. 26. I was reading the comments to that story, and somebody was like, oh, yeah, you should read the Constitution for Texas. And I was like, say what? So I did. This is where AI would have come in very handy. That's where that seminar this weekend is going to come in handy. This says it's you can be in school until you're 26. Isn't that great? That's the education code in the Texas state constitution.
You could have a doctorate by then in college.
Yeah. Joe had his MD at that point. Yeah. Or you could just be an illegal alien named Carlos who gets his rocks off groping chicks in the hallway. Because where's that going to end? Is that going to end well? It's going to end great.
I'm sure.
It's going to end great.
I mean, getting off on
I saw something I've never seen
grabbing
before.
a 13-year-old.
So we were at this soccer tournament, as I told you, over the last weekend in Annapolis, Maryland. Never seen this before. One of the boys playing had an ankle bracelet, an ankle monitor on.
Oh, that's nice.
I know. Oh, I'm glad. That makes me feel good.
No, he's not going to feel bad about getting a red card. What the hell? He's already been in front of a judge.
Right?
Don't judge me on the field. I got an ankle bracelet.
I was like, that's odd.
Should he maybe not be running around? He's in way too good shape. We don't want to jump in the fence.
Hey, Healthy Fat, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. If you have serious weight you want to lose, if you don't mind drinking water to lose it, if you like sweet but not super sugary and a little bit of tang flavor, and you're interested in getting a little bit of help in getting the food noise in your mind and your cravings and your hunger to be put at bay. If that sounds like something you want and you want to spend less than $1 a day on it, I've got it for you. It's called Dr. Gundry's thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. I'm drinking it. This is my last one because I figured out that I actually have to get off the dime and subscribe to his service, and I'm going to because this is empty now. Dr. Gundry's, it's called MCT Wellness, but you can get it by going to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. This is how a cardiothoracic surgeon, a pediatric heart transplant guy, lost 70 pounds 20 years ago and has kept it off. And he's like, look, I've seen so many people have success with this product. It's downright dangerous to those who like to succeed. Bingo, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. I love it.
I don't need luck for the end of the show. I was telling Wendy this morning that I one time worked with a host and I was working the overnight and I get a phone call.
And the overnight means from when to when? 11 to 7?
Yeah. Yes. No, 10 to 6.
10 to 6.
10
okay.
to 6.
All right.
So at 5 o'clock, a new host comes on and does a show.
Until they don't.
Until they call at 5:45 saying, oh my gosh, I just woke up.
Oh, snap.
And that was back in the day. That's 20 some years ago.
Wow.
There was I just had to
boop. Do you remember what you talked about?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't even know what I had for breakfast yesterday.
It's what I told you when we first started working together. Your first shift. You just keep talking.
Right? It's scary.
Yeah. So like with no prep work. Not that I did prep today, but
I want to share a little teaser with you on the screen. So yesterday, Brock took me. Brock took me to the doctor that he's been having some back treatments with and has had great success. And this doctor, unlike normal doctors, chiropractor, has different kinds of procedures that you can get that involve lasers, sound waves, pressure, and other things to heal you. I understand the value of healing and feeling a little more normal again. And it made me think of our friend who's been so benefited by the Simkovich Concussion Institute. Like, you don't realize how much you've been compensating for something until you're not compensating anymore because it's fixed. And I did one of these treatments on my foot, and I'm going to tell you, at a minimum, it's 50% better. It's probably better than that. And
which is nuts.
And I'm so great. So I understand our friend who I had suggested, and I called the Simkoviches and was like, can you please see my friend? She has this terrible essential tremor that's really difficult. And I'm sure she'd feel better if it could be remediated. Nobody has ever helped her before. And they're like, well, we don't normally do that, but we'll give it a go. Right. We'll give it a go. And she said she had like 70% improvement.
Which is huge.
So huge.
That's life-changing.
It is life-changing. 412-366-3700, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. I'm just going to say, no matter where you live, people drive in, fly in from all over the country for Dr. Simkovich because he fixes traumatic brain injury, chronic headaches, concussion, and he does it without surgery. No blood, no cutting, no needles, none of that. And he saves people.
I'm excited about your foot. I've heard about your foot for a while now.
I'm so sorry.
What? No. And Like I said to her, it doesn't surprise me. Can I give him a shout out?
Sure.
It's called the Harmony Family Chiropractic. The reason I thought it would work on you is because insurance won't cover it.
Right. Like, what are we doing? What are we paying for? Paying for a bunch of bull crap with Obamacare that doesn't work and is too expensive. Which brings me to a new sponsor we're going to be having next week, which is... Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. It was almost like a foreshadowing. I said yesterday on the show, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who was thinking about it. It will be interesting to see what happens when Benjamin Netanyahu wants to go a step further than President Trump wants to with this conflict in Iran. There is a seething, loathing hatred for Israel against this Iranian regime of terror. And one could understand that, of course. President Trump is a deal maker. He wants the scourge of terror to be eradicated. He wants that booga, 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 which is the threat of something happening, something at the hands of someone dark. He wants these threats neutralized once and for all, right? And now we've got the namby-pamby left and some of the wishy-washy rhinos who are like, man, I don't know if I would have gone in and done it that way. You know what? Sit down. Stop talking. So necessary. What happened? All the armchair quarterbacking now, typical. But it seems as though President Trump has done a Heisman move to Benjamin Netanyahu. Here's your story, all right? As he distances himself and kind of slaps down Israel's bloody plot for the Iranian people to take back their country. The president has said it, Netanyahu has said it. The Iranian people have to decide what's going to happen next. Now, to their credit and in their defense, when you're used to being shot at, murdered in the street, publicly hanged, snipers on rooftops picking people off who have the audacity to talk ill of the regime or to speak on behalf of freedom and democracy, right? You're probably not that eager to get out into the street and take over your government. But this is what Netanyahu wants, right? And Trump is like, whoa, that's, I'm not going to encourage people to go put themselves in danger. So here's the story from the Daily Mail, and we're going to get to a little audio. Donald Trump has brutally slapped down Benjamin Netanyahu's push for the U.S. to incite a bloody street revolution to topple the Iranian regime. Why the hell should we tell people to take to the streets when they'll just get mowed down? President Trump told the Israeli prime minister in a call last week. The call came just hours after Iran's security chief, Ali Larijani, was killed in an Israeli strike last Tuesday. Netanyahu telling the U.S. president the regime was in disarray and that there was a window for popular uprising, a U.S. official and Israeli source told Axios. But Trump feared a massacre, mindful that thousands of Iranians have been slaughtered by paramilitary forces during anti-regime protests before the war. Netanyahu and Trump agreed to wait and see what the Iranians are going to do, how they're going to proceed. But I think it's very interesting. This rupture, this article says, lays bare a widening gap between the two leaders, with Washington quietly distancing itself from Jerusalem on regime change, despite Trump urging a popular uprising when the war began. Well, things change. You know, the people are not calling the Iranian, whomever the new Ayatollah or what have you, whomever is considered the de facto leader of the country, isn't calling Benjamin Netanyahu on the bat phone and giving him all sorts of details. President Trump is getting those through his own envoys and is privy, of course, to all of these negotiations. He's like, why would I incite people to go do that when we could very likely be on the cusp of a lasting peace plan? If we're not, we're going to bomb the everlasting liver out of them. That's the threat. But I thought that was interesting, as you see the president saying, you know what? No. And he has a warning to the mullahs as well, which is kind of interesting. I want you to hear this. This is from Breitbart. Trump says he's going to unleash hell if Iran, quote, fails to understand that they have been defeated. So this is the problem. This is not traditional warfare. You've got deep-rooted issues here, and you're not going to get the Iranian regime to just all of a sudden say it's fine. Yeah, you got us. We lost. I don't think those words will ever come out of the mouths. We've been beaten. You win, we surrender. I don't think that that's going to be the words that will be said. But Trump is like, look, enough with your propaganda. Stop calling me, begging me for a deal. Only then go tell the news, the reporters, or whomever that you're talking to that no peace plan is in the works. And we're going to continue our campaign against the, evil American empire. Trump's like, enough. One bomb, one move, one call, you're done. Here's Caroline Leavitt. She says, look, Iran must accept military defeat or face total obliteration. That's the thing. Total defeat, total obliteration. What is it going to be? Listen.
The United States has been engaged over the last 3 days in productive conversations, which led the president to temporarily instruct the Department of War to postpone planned strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure only. The remaining elements of the Iranian regime have another opportunity to cooperate with President Trump, permanently abandon their nuclear ambitions, and cease actively threatening America and our allies. But the president's preference is always peace. There does not need to be any more death and destruction. But if Iran fails to accept the reality of the current moment, if they fail to understand that they have been defeated militarily and will continue to be, President Trump will ensure they are hit harder than they have ever been hit before. President Trump does not bluff, and he is prepared to unleash hell. Iran should not miscalculate again.
I think that was loud and clear. Everybody caught that? I did. You know what? Something I think is also very interesting, very different from the last iterations of at least an administration talking about war. When have you ever seen an admiral or a general or any of these people who are at the crux of the leadership of the Pentagon come forward and be like, look, I just want to skinny with you, the American people. I want you to know what we're doing. I want you to know how successful we've been. And I want you to know what we're doing next. Like that. This is unprecedented communication, carving the media out of the conversation. You don't have to go turn on NBC News anymore to figure out what's going on because they project it right to you. This is Admiral Bradley Cooper. This is the guy who has played a pivotal role in these strikes, and he updates the military objectives of Operation Epic Fury, the number of targets that have been destroyed. When you hear this number and you hear about the mission, it's a wonder that there is any even, I guess, whisper of this regime still alive. Listen.
Hi, I'm Admiral Brad Cooper, Commander of U.S. Central Command, here with my 5th update on Operation Epic Fury. We're in the 4th week of the campaign and remain on plan or ahead of plan in achieving very clear military objectives for eliminating Iran's ability to project power in meaningful ways outside its borders. U.S. forces have struck more than 10,000 military targets. In fact, we hit the 10,000th Iranian target just hours ago. And if you combine what we've accomplished with the success of our Israeli ally, together we have struck thousands more, clearly demonstrating that we're stronger together. Our precision strikes have overwhelmed Iranian air defenses, and our combat flights over Iran are having tangible effects. Here are a few examples. For decades, Iranian warships have roamed regional waters, threatening and harassing global shipping. But those days are over because we've now destroyed 92% of the Iranian Navy's largest vessels. They are not sailing, and my operational assessment is that they've now lost the ability to meaningfully project naval power and influence around the region and around the world.
That's their Navy. We've dismantled that. We're taking out their planes. And next, we're going to take out, completely eviscerate their military technology. So there's no hope to rebuild.
Iran's drone and missile launch rates are down by more than 90%, meaning their ability to attack American forces and regional neighbors is drastically reduced. And not only have we significantly degraded Iran's naval, drone, and missile capabilities, we've also removed the regime's ability to rebuild them. Before Operation Epic Fury, Iran had large-scale manufacturing capacities to not only build naval vessels, missiles, and attack drones, but also to advance and proliferate these technologies to regional and global bad actors. Today, we've damaged or destroyed over 2/3 of Iran's missile, drone, and naval production facilities and shipyards, and we're not done yet. We are on a path to completely eliminate Iran's wider military manufacturing apparatus, which is why my operational assessment continues to be Iran's combat capability is declining as U.S. combat capability continues to increase.
Anybody who is short-sighted and thinks, oh, this is getting our hands dirty, I'm going to remind you of that number I dropped on you in the beginning. $8 trillion. We have spent, as American taxpayers, $8 trillion since 9/11 on wars, funding wars. Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, helping Israel, helping Yemen, helping Ukraine. That's $24,000 each if we were to presume pre-20 million people from other countries flooding our country, numbers for the census, 330 million Americans. So whatever the billions of dollars is and is going to be for this war, anybody who wants to squawk about that should probably look at our deficit that is now $39 trillion and say, maybe, just maybe, all of the trillions we've spent on useless stuff, weapons of mass destruction that never were, regime changes that never seem to work out, all these skirmishes that make people in the world hate America. Well, this at least is going to have a lasting mark. It's called safety. Now, when you realize that the left needs you suffering and punished, because that's the plan, to fight you, to destroy you, because you helped give rise to Donald Trump. They don't want this war. They don't want this war to end, is what I should say. They want something horrible to happen so it can be twisted, manipulated, turned around, of course, as you well know. Interesting to always follow CENTCOM. If you get on their X page, they'll give you their updates every single day. You know exactly what's going on. It's not a mystery. Maybe the media should pay attention to it. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, okay, so it is, to quote my girlfriend, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, it's all about the Benjamins, and the GOP just hauled in a record 38 million of them. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Yeah, it seems weird. Ever since the computer issue, it's like the bumper music is so loud in my ears. I'm like, wow, I don't know why. Must be your fault. Okay. All right, I got to tell you guys about collagen. It seems like such a dippy thing to be excited about. Can you imagine just one packet of collagen a day having such amazing effects and costing virtually nothing and not tasting like anything, smells like nothing, so you can dilute it in anything you want. You could put it in a bottle of water and not even tell it's there. And then what does it do for you? Well, rebuilding the most abundant protein in your body is kind of important. Do you have that crepitus? Do you have that crackling in your knees? Do you have that like weird, it's like cartilage? That had me thinking, I think I might need some collagen. And I reached out to my friends at Native Path, getnativepath.com/Wendy. And I'm like, hey, I'm drinking all of your collagen peptides. This is what they look like. Look at what it says. It says bones, joints, skin, hair, nails, digestion. It's like the number one thing our bodies need that we lose precipitously after the age of 50. You don't have to lose it, though. If you're getting that creepy looking skin on your arms or your legs, your hair is not that shiny, your gut kind of feels like, bleh, right? Collagen peptides, wonderful building block of our body that we need to replenish. I'm drinking it every single day. You can drink it to up to 45% off. It's pennies a day. It's not a big deal. This is a totally affordable splurge for you, helping you from the inside out. GetNativePath.com/Wendy. There are a lot of companies that do collagen, but I will tell you, my personal experience with Native Path has been nothing but enjoyable. They are immediately responsive. They don't flood you with junk emails and get you your product right away. And it's easy to subscribe if you want to, and it's affordable, up to 45% off. GetNativePath.com/Wendy.
So I only have one question.
Yeah.
How'd you sleep last night?
Oh my gosh.
Someone took a REM last night.
I had to. I just took 3 and put them in my bag.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
REM sleep. All right. If you have a hard time, okay, first of all, as we get older, how many times do you get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night? At least once, right? If you're the kind of person who gets up, goes to the bathroom, and then your mind starts working and you're like, son of a mother, this is what you want. REM sleep 30 minutes before you go to bed, healthycell.com/Wendy. It's a gift from us to you. It is natural, like plant extracts to achieve this. And you take it and all of a sudden you're like, oh, you fall asleep quickly. You stay asleep. When you wake up to go to the bathroom, it's fine. But then you go back to bed, zonk, and you wake up no matter how many hours you've had, you feel rested. I mean, this is the ultimate gift for the person in your life who's sleeping like crap.
Here's how you know it works.
I woke up and I felt like $1 million, and then I didn't hobble on my way to the bathroom. I was like,
the first thing I hear in the morning when we get on the stream to start talking is, I took a REM last night. Now, I went to the bathroom at like 1 and right back out. I slept all the way through. I feel fantastic. I'm like, good morning.
Uh-huh. Hey, it's what we're all about. Like the building blocks of basic life that we don't pay enough attention to that we have to have. Healthycell.com/Wendy. REM sleep. Do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
You need to have it. I'm traveling with it. Sense conservative values delivered by a mom. I know radio, it's all about men, isn't it? I love men. But don't you like hearing from a woman? I would, and I'm fabulous, so why wouldn't you? Here we go. President Trump at the National Republican Congressional Committee announces a record fundraising haul as the GOP gears up to defend and expand its majority. Look, everything you hear is about, oh, Donald Trump's ratings are down. Oh, the men are walking away from Trump. Oh, Gen Z not happy with Trump. Oh, the economy, gas prices. Oh, no, make it stop. Then why are so many people giving money to the Republican Party and not to Democrats? Why is it the Democrats had to take out a $15 million loan and that they owe more than they basically have in their coffers? Why? Well, you know why. They're doomed. You guys, this is it. This Save America Act, this is the final fork. This is put a fork in it. You're done. See you later. And I can't figure out why the Republicans don't want to do that. Oh, that's right. Because it's a uniparty. And you and I aren't invited to be part of the club. We get to pay for the dues, right? The catering and all of it. Trump boosts GOP war chest as House Republicans gear up for high-stakes midterm fight. You got that razor-thin majority, 218 to 214, midterms right around the bend. And the House National Republican Congressional Committee has a chair. It's a guy named Richard Hudson, and he's like, hey, we're doing really great. We have $36.8 million, and this is going to help us basically grease a lot of these midterm elections that we need to go our way. I want you to hear what the president had to say. He says, look, Republicans in the Senate, and he projects to them what he expects them to do. I don't know how you don't pay attention to this, but They do not. He says Republicans in the Senate have to be tough. They have to stick together. People see what is going on in this country, and they're choosing not to go the path of the Democrat way. We've got to get this across the finish line, and it means Republicans have got to grow a pair. Let's go.
If our Republican majority stand up for these priorities, the American people will stand with us in record numbers. We have to be strong. We have to be tough. And we can't let these thugs on the other side of the aisle push us around, because what they're doing right now is wrong. And the public knows it. Now the public knows it. And they're on our side. But you have to fight, and you have to be tough. You have to be much tougher. And you have to stick together. Republicans have to stick together.
Republicans have to stick together. It's that one time when you're almost a little impressed by the clone trooper ideology on the left, where they all have their homing chips activated, right? I must do what you say. These are not the droids you're looking for, right? They all have to do this. What? Oh, yes, I'll vote that way. Meanwhile, herding cats with the Republicans. What? Trump says, stop it. Band together. Be a force. The time is now. This is that moment. President Trump says Democrats are the party of criminals. They're the party of cheating, of illegal aliens, of high taxes, of putting Americans last. They are the party of punishment.
Americans saw the true and craven nature of congressional Democrats during my State of the Union, and we're not going to let that happen again. They really are. They're a party, and it's terrible to talk. I want it to be the old way where they got, Democrats, Republicans used to get together, have lunch, and then they'd fight a little bit, and, but it doesn't seem to be happening that way. And this is before me. Because if you go back to Obama, he was a great divider. He divided this nation. He was a lousy president. The worst president in history was Biden. But Obama was a terrible president. He was a divider. He did so many bad things. But they're the party of fraudsters, criminals, radicals, illegal aliens, high taxes, and putting America last. That's what they are. They put America last. Republicans are the party for every hardworking patriot. And we do something very much different than them. We put America first.
And here's the overarching message, though, if I were to connect to the president. Mr. President, we the people want to see some results. See, it seems so much like Congress when Republicans were in charge in the past. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of anger. Oh, we're going to blah, blah, blah. But nobody gets arrested. Nobody's charged. Money doesn't get clawed back. Nobody changes. The system isn't fixed. And then the can is kicked down the road. Americans are starving. We, the people, starving for action. Well, some's coming. And it's coming out of Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen. Thank Mehmet Oz. Thank Nick Shirley. Thank anybody out there who's willing to tell the truth and upend a monster grift on the American taxpayer. How many various hospice providers in Los Angeles County all of a sudden have just been slapped, their funds frozen, and now they're under federal investigation? Oh my, I got it for you next. Hour 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio program next.
Was that music better?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just my head things. I don't know.
No, there's a hard stinger at the beginning of that.
Oh yeah, you hit it and it's like
yeah.
I get you. It's interesting when I found out. Oh,
what?
I just got something for a ghost bed. Somebody just sent me a little message about ordering their ghost bed.
Ooh.
I'm so excited to find out. WendyBellRadio@gmail.com. Let me know how you like it. Let me know.
I'd like to be able to give you my testimony.
When Texas Bullion Exchange reached out and said, hey, we love your audience. We love your message. We think it's unusual for that a mom has the conservative values and is speaking, loudly about them online and on the radio. We'd love to sponsor you. And I was like, great. Who's got money to buy gold and silver? Right? It feels like just the cost of food still is a little too much. But look, there is a group of people out there, and you might be a part of it, where you're worried about your rainy day fund. You're like, I need to have money just in case. But it's sitting in the bank in some savings account, getting nothing accomplished for you, where you can instead take that cash, convert it into gold and silver, and be protected that your investment is never going to lose you money. Because that's exactly what wendylovesgold.com promises. It's called their principal protection program, but it's really a promise. And it's like, we believe so strongly in this of gold. I mean, it's risen 7,000% in value since we got off the gold standard in 1971. I mean, that's right. But they're so confident that you're going to be delighted by actually having physical assets, whether it's gold coins. I've shared mine with you, right? Or silver bars. Brock has one. I've got a silver brick. If it's physical in your hands, it's very cool to start collecting that. But you can also have it in a retirement plan. So it's not tangible in your hands, but it is in there. And you're not going to lose the tangible asset. If you try to sell back gold and silver to Texas Bullion Exchange, you won't get anything less than what you spent. And if you look at history, the prices keep going up. So wendylovesgold.com, 855-927-5557. You can just go online and enter your name, and they'll send you a wealth preservation guide, which is great. It just tells you, it's pretty basic on how you can do this, how you can invest in gold and silver and platinum and palladium. I think you're really going to enjoy them. But I think calling is a different ballgame. I enjoy talking to somebody because they are so excited to be able to teach you about stuff, answer your questions, share their expertise with you. Right? wendylovesgold.com, 855-927-5557. Okay, so we've recorded a segment that's going to be the final segment, the half hour, bottom of the half hour at 2:30, because I've got to catch a flight with Joe and I got to jet out of here. So we had recorded something I think you guys are going to like with Mike McCormick.
Yeah, it was interesting.
You know what I like about Mike is that he uses his experience and his notes and mementos and photographs and things that he took while he was a White House stenographer for 4 presidents. And he sees them, uses what he's experienced in that capacity, working so intimately with the Oval Office. And he sees things going on in the world today, and he connects those dots. So he uses his real world experience to be able to open doors and shine a light on stuff that maybe we wouldn't think about. And this one is about Obama and the Vatican, and how Obama's lies and the Vatican's fake Catholicism basically funded Iran's war against Israel. It's basically what it's all about, how that's the crux. It's dark. It's dark, but really it's like dark. It's super interesting. Like, does anybody really believe the Catholic Church is about this anymore? For probably a lot of the priests, yeah. And probably for a lot of the faithful, of course. But for the people, the fat cats with the big hats behind the scenes, I think it's a lot of human trafficking.
Since we're not in the radio right now, let me say, if you see us on Rumble, we're live. If you see us on Twitter or X, we're live. The only time we're not live is on the radio. We won't be here. Like tomorrow, we won't be here. We'll still be on the radio, but we won't be here. So if you see us on Rumble or X, we're live.
Why did you feel the need to tell them that?
Because someone said, is this a rerun?
Oh, today's show? No.
That's what I'm saying. If you see us.
No. I'm fabulous in live time.
Wow. I don't know if that's where we're going. But okay.
I think it's cool that I get to talk to you about lean. You guys, lean is one of these products that is, I think, a game changer. And when the people who came up with Field of Greens They create like all these whole organic fruits and vegetables into this one amazing organic superfood for you. And you drink it and you're like, Shazam. That company says, we're going to help you lose weight. I'm like, okay, let's go. What do you got? Well, it's called Lean. Take lean.com / I don't even think it's the / I think it's just promo code Wendy. 20% off when you use my name. Lean is interesting. If you're looking to lose weight, but you're not interested in shots, you want to lose meaningful weight so you're not just like a weekend dieter. Doctors created a weight loss supplement called Lean, and they've been shown to lower your blood sugar, which is a huge benefit, burn fat by converting it into energy, and crush your appetite and cravings so you're not as hungry. Lean is not for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created it for frustrated dieters with 10 or more pounds to lose. Let's get you started. 20% off right now. Take lean.com. They're even going to throw in free rush shipping for you. Okay? Take lean.com, throw in my name, get that 20% off. I think these things that are not pharma related, that give you that help, love them. I guess we were in a small box again today. We were in the little box. Thanks, Al. Thanks for telling me that. Do you know how many of you guys keep in touch with me and tell me what the hell's going on? I appreciate you. Thank you. But I would like more rumbles. 168. Can we please get 3,000 rumbles today? Like, pedal to the metal. We need to hit it. If you would, it's that thumbs up button underneath the video box. And hit follow, too.
4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. I have an itchy nose. Hold on. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. So I found this very interesting, I don't know what you want to call it. It's like a meme on X. And the title of it is The Blue Revolution. And the blues that this particular meme is talking about is the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the EU, and the Democratic Party. Those 5 entities. And this is the whole Cloward Piven thing, right? The whole idea, flood a system so that its services crash, right? So that the welfare system crumbles. There's not enough weight underneath the pressure of this onslaught of humanity, right? And so you need somebody to come in and save the day. Oh, here we are. Here we are, totalitarian whack jobs who want to destroy the country because we're globalists and this is the new world order. Well, this is how they do it. This blue revolution. And it's actually sinister, but it's also simple. And I want you to think about how many of these things you've already witnessed or are in play, in progress right now by these blue entities. Governments are infiltrated with saboteurs. Done. Judicial system is infiltrated and corrupted. Check. History is manipulated, erased, and shamed. Think about the 2000, Confederate war statues and monuments they took down? Yeah, we watched that. How about schools are dumbed down, students are indoctrinated? That's happened. Morals, ethics, and family are dismantled. True. Propaganda is ubiquitous. Control of the news media and a diaspora of illegal immigrants is in place. Check. Anybody resisting? is called a racist, a fascist, a Nazi, a Hitler, a bigot, a phobe of some nature. Check. Race and class warfare are nourished. Government deprioritizes the citizens. That's huge. It's where pain and punishment is the plan comes into play here. Communities and neighborhoods basically torn apart. Weapons and self-defense are throttled. Two-tier policing, lawlessness, and rapes demoralize the citizens. Debt becomes unsustainable. Social media censorship is prioritized. Food is controlled. Emergencies and catastrophes are engineered or manipulated. Elections are manipulated or canceled. Digital ID and banking are implemented to track and control, and war is on the horizon. I mean, like that's a 30-second synopsis of, yeah, pretty much all that. All that. See, that's the punishment. That's the plan. Donald Trump is saying to you every single time he speaks, it's about winning. It's about you. It's about freedom. It's about financial everything. It's about all of that, right? Democrats tell you, vote for us and we'll make your life a living hell. Pretty much done, right? So I want to move now to this whole idea of crime and punishment. There's a limit to how long you're willing to wait before somebody legitimately is punished for what they do to us. And as much as I'd love to see Tony Fauci strapped into a chair that's plugged into the wall, I don't believe that's really going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Little things are happening. Let's start with the hospice fraud in Los Angeles County. It's ridiculous. Something like 200 hospice providers in the entire state of Florida, whose average age is a lot higher than the state of California's average age. And yet California has 10 times the number of hospice providers. Why? Is everybody just dying all of a sudden? They all need to die with help? No. Scam. You know this. So there are 70, which sounds like an infinitesimal number when you consider it's over 2,000 of these hospice providers. And that's just in Los Angeles County, you guys. That's the mind-bending stuff. Well, fraud czar J.D. Vance, along with Mehmet Oz, are using, this is kind of interesting, you're using artificial intelligence to flag the fraud, to stop the money from going out, and suspending all of these fraudulent hospice providers in Los Angeles. And I think it's fascinating because it's a small thing, but it's happening. It's absolutely happening. James Comer, I heard him yesterday, and he was like, look, hospice and fraud just in Los Angeles County alone is more than $3 billion. And now you've got a system where enough whistleblowers are coming out of the woodwork and reaching out to the right people that there actually might be an end to the fraud and some accountability for the purveyors of it. Here's your House Oversight Committee Chairman, Congressman James Comer, with the update. And by the way, a little nugget about Gavin Newsom.
That $3.5 billion price tag represents over 10% of the total bill for the federal government for hospice in all 50 states, in every city and every state in America. So the red flags are there that there was rampant fraud. There's a whistleblower that's come forward that alleges that Gavin Newsom knew about this. This is a very similar scenario to what we had in Minnesota. So we're moving our investigation after Minnesota into California. We believe this is the tip of the iceberg.
Wait a minute. We have whistleblowers who say Gavin Newsom was aware of it. The same way the whistleblowers came out and said, we told Tim Walz in 2019, shortly after he became governor of Minnesota, we told him, look, bro, there's 1 million in rollerboards rolling out of Minneapolis St. Paul Airport every day, right? Every day. And he did nothing. Same story in California, of course. Of course, it's that blue revolution, and it involves money. Without money, there is no power. Without money, there is no staying in control. Do you really think Gavin Newsom should be the Democrats' front runner for anything? anything after you know what that dude has done or allowed to happen on the left coast? Then there's this. This is just crazy. So RFK Jr., Secretary of HHS, he says, you know what? We're blowing the whistle on this $400 million autism fraud scheme in Minnesota. We've known about this. We're blowing the whistle. We're getting the money back. But he said, look, Democrats in Minnesota, same way as Gavin Newsom in California, knew that rampant healthcare fraud was taking place. But the workers who worked for Xavier Becerra, he was the HHS secretary under Sleepy Joe, they were instructed as workers at HHS, don't root out the fraud. If something seems an outrageous amount of money, that's not your job. Your job is to get as many people enrolled in some sort of welfare program as possible. Gee, I wonder why. Here's RFK Jr. with the bomb.
I'm not a partisan person, but one of the things that I found out from people in my agency was they were ordered by the Biden White House not to do program integrity. In other words, not to enforce against fraud. And they said they were told, we want to focus on only enrollment and getting more and more people into the system.
That was the manner in which we lived for 4 years. And during COVID, right? Where they know that the fraud exists, they create conditions that are ripe for it, right? Let's spend $3.5 trillion on something that's all about pork that nobody needs, we can't clearly pay for, but we're going to tell everybody it's going to make everything so much better. You're going to love it. And then have it just be an absolute nightmare. It's almost like they knew that the fraud was going to blossom and grow like weeds out of that nightmare. That's the system. Don't blow the whistle on it. In fact, if you do, we're going to come after you. And we're going to make your life a living hell. What a dark and dirty testament of that chapter in American history of pettiness, petulance, of abject darkness and evil, thieving from the American people. By the way, using illegals as the shell game pawns of it, right? And then lying about it, cashing in on it, all the while just worried about how you're going to stay in power. That's the whole idea of what I just read to you at the very beginning, this blue revolution. Because what's needed, of course, is a complete collapse of the system. Bring in as many people as possible. Let as many people grift off of it as possible. Ultimately, the country gets bankrupted. What happens? Inflation goes through the roof. It's almost like you and I have lived through that. But you're being told these midterms, I don't know, a lot of people want Democrats back in power. Really? Who? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, California's governor's race, it keeps getting weirder. We told you about the canceled gubernatorial debate, right? Steve Hilton, who is the front-runner Republican for governor of California, has a pretty interesting insider scoop on that. It's worth hearing next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
You should be able to turn your computer off when you leave.
The one to the left?
Your StreamYard?
Mm-hmm.
Because all I have to do is turn my computer on, and they'll be able to hear me.
Okay.
And then I can run the radio, and they just won't hear the music and stuff.
Okay.
Instead of me trying to mute things and...
Copy that. Roger Dodger.
We'll find out.
Right? Disinfectwithsniper.com, you guys. What a great product. Just going to say, 2 thumbs up product. Sniper. Hospital grade disinfectant, fungal killer, fungal infection, killer. Parvovirus, SARS, COVID, MRSA. All the nasty stuff you never want. How about also just cleaning up germs and bacteria from life at your house, right? I put it on knobs, doorknobs. I put it on faucets, on handles, anything that everybody touches all the time. You don't even have to wipe it off. That's the greatest part. Spray it and forget about it. Walk away, right? How about nasty football pads or lacrosse pads or hockey pads that just smell like death? Lay them out, sniper the bejeebers out of them. It's safe. It's not going to hurt the product, right? And it knocks out the odor. And so what you're going to smell is clean. Crazy. You could literally take a toy that your grandchild or child chews on all the time and spray it with Sniper. They could put it in their mouth and continue chewing on it. Perfectly safe. How's that possible? Magic? Science! Science! Disinfectwithsniper.com.
And for the person in the chat that asked, Wendy made that flight.
Yeah. Well,
it's the only flight you could have.
Other than that, I'm getting in at midnight, driving and waking up and going fishing. And
yeah, you literally have 5 minutes with me. That's it.
It's not like the dude hasn't been doing this for 25 years.
2 hours and 55 minutes of Wendy.
Wow.
Difference is I have to hit a time. You leave me with a hard out.
Yeah. And you're monitoring it and doing this. He's like a DJ. He's going to be spinning the hits.
No, here's the thing that you guys probably don't know about DJs. They don't do it live. They record segments. That's how they always hit what they call the post. So they go like, while songs are playing, they'll go and record their, hey, up next, this song's coming to you by blah, 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 blah.
Oh, see, I'm sitting here thinking a DJ like in a club.
Well, I don't go to clubs, so I wouldn't.
Well, that's what happens to people who are over the age of 50, Brock. You need to get with the program.
What are you talking about? You're going to clubs, apparently.
I went to,
shaking your bootay.
I went to, when we were in Annapolis, an all-black bar. We were the only white people there. Called the Corner Bar. Fantastic. Best music. I think they played music for us because we danced the whole time.
Did Joe have the white man's overbite?
I don't remember. I was probably drinking, so.
Oh, boy. One tequila shot. Look out.
No.
Out comes. Yeah, you're right. 2 margaritas. Look out. Did you stick somebody with the bill, too?
I don't know. Yeah, I think Joe picked it up.
You say, one more, then give him the bill.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, the more I look at California and even talk to my dad, you know, that's where I'm from. And my dad's there. My sister and her family are there. It is such an exquisite state. It really is. I think the state's being held hostage. I really do. I think you have a rabid group of lunatic leftists who have fixed the system. And now with the new redistricting, I don't think there's going to be anything that happens in the entire state that's not going to be controlled by, regulated by, over-regulated, overruled, overtaxed, right? All of it by liberal. I don't think there's a thing that's going to be untouched. It's going to be an unlivable state, which is why you lost $20 billion of income since 2023. Just from the state of California. People are like, it's not worth it to be here. And when you chew on some of the details of the insanity of this debate, so they have a primary coming up, and the way the system, I think, works in California is the 2 top vote getters are, you know, win the primary, and then they face off, whatever it is, and if it's both Democrats, if it's 2 Republicans, whatever it is, it is. This is just so bizarre. So here in this, and I want to play Steve Hilton for you because he's great. He's a former Fox contributor. You know him. California's governor's race gets weirder with debate cancellation and a new poll. This is from the website calmatters.org. This is what it says. Just when we thought the campaign for California's governorship couldn't get any weirder, it did. A Tuesday night debate at University of Southern California was canceled late Monday amid allegations of racism because all of the candidates invited to participate are white, while the 4 Democrats who were left out are Latino, Black, or Asian. Well, USC chose debaters on the basis of their standing in the polls or the amounts of money raised or being spent. Like, you can't have 8 people all vying for time if you have a limited chunk, right? So you have to have some kind of a cutoff. What is it? Is it financial? Well, if it's financial, none of you qualify. Okay, is it standing in the percentages of the vote so far? Well, none of you over here qualify. That doesn't make it racist. It just means that despite your race, your ideas apparently are not palatable. And people aren't giving money to you. And they're not voting for you. But lest we just leave an opportunity sitting out there that we don't capture, right? Oh, it's racist. It's so obnoxious. How about just, I don't know, do better? Why is there always some kind of a catch, right? I want you to hear Steve Hilton. He's talking, I believe, to Laura Ingraham, and he is explaining what really happened. And it's just, he's like, look, it's low polling Democrats, LPDs. He coined that. I think it's great. Listen.
What was the real reason they canceled that debate?
So to be really precise about it, this debate was canceled by the Democrats in the California legislature. You had these whining LPDs, as I call them, low polling Democrats, all of them on 2, 3, 4%. Then they whine and say, oh, it's because of race that we were excluded, even though the criteria were clear. If you're in those low numbers, you're not going to be on the stage. It's not because of race. It's because they're not doing well enough in the race. That's why they weren't there. And then they start complaining at the end of last week. And then on Monday, all of the usual kind of like leftist activist groups and the factions, they write a letter. The LGBTQ caucus and the Latino caucus and the Native American caucus, they write a letter to USC saying these people have to be included or we'll get people to boycott the debate. And USC caves. Shame on them for caving.
But Univision was one of the sponsors of the debate. Okay, so Becerra and it was Villagrosa. I think we have the graphic of all the ones who were excluded.
Yee. By the way, Betty Yee, I'm sad she wasn't there.
And they were of color. So because they were of color and they didn't make the cut of the determination of fundraising and support in the polls,
exactly,
it had to be racism.
Of course it's race, because it's Democrats, so of course it's the race card. By the way, I've got to tell you, Betty Yee, who no one's ever heard of, but I did one discussion with her. We were talking about the Olympics. She said she's in favor of a gender-neutral Olympics.
Oh, so I think I saw that.
That's what we're missing out on without her in the debate.
It's exactly right. When will the adults in the room show up? Right? See, here's the problem with the whole DEI thing. It's such a terrible excuse. It's such a terrible excuse to get people who either don't have the job skills, the God-given talent, or the training, an excuse to leapfrog other people who do under the guise of fairness. And then you realize when those people are in charge of relatively important things, that they're not talented or qualified or able to do the job. This is what Clarence Thomas warned about with affirmative action. If you make it so the playing field is proverbially equal, everybody who looks at a black person on a college campus or what have you is going to look at that person and be like, I bet you they had help getting here. And that is even more destructive. This is by design. It's by design, pain and punishment. It's the plan. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, it's a man, baby. 2/3 of men polled say they are not happy with the Democratic Party. But wait, they're not happy with Trump either. What? Next.
So, a minute before you leave, I'm going to have you jump out of, like, when you're done, jump on a screen out of StreamYard, and I'm going to jump on, and you guys are going to have to tell me if it worked, if what I do works. And then
how are they going to know if it works?
Because they'll hear me.
Oh.
It's all a matter of they'll hear me or not.
I'm going to the bathroom, so.
Oh, wow. It should work. But you know what they say, when things are hypothetical, you don't know. You don't know if they're actually going to work till they actually work. And when you do it all live, kind of without a safety net, I don't know what I'm going to rant about for the last 5 minutes. I found out this morning. Do you see Chuck Schumer? Now they're talking about getting through the funding, but Schumer has all these things because they're realizing it's hurting them. If we, as the GOP, no, I don't think I'm GOP, but give in to any demands to get the SAVE Act passed, it's a shame. And that big news from, well, it's not necessarily news yet, but they've talked about the Supreme Court hearing cases. I believe it was Mississippi. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Mississippi court case about voter ballots and mail-in ballots. So hopefully that passes, and that how many states are going to have to change their voting rules or voting ballots because of that, and how they accept them. Oh, Trump gave a shout out in his cabinet meeting to Nick Shirley. I'll tell you what, if anyone should win a Medal of Honor, it's that kid. Because he's bringing to light things that you and I have. We knew was going on with the fraud and the waste. We've known for years, but this kid single-handedly dismantled the lie. You gotta love it. Uh-oh. I don't think she has her earpieces in.
I do. I just have to write a couple checks.
Oh. Brock. B-R-O-C-K.
Mm-hmm.
$1 million. Notice one of those checks wasn't for me. We're at 1:30 already.
What's that?
I said we're at 1:30 already. I think you guys will find it, what Mike McCormick says, very interesting, tying Obama and the government to the Vatican and how seedy the Vatican is. And we've known that from the Catholic Church priest scandal and how seedy they are here. It's like the bigger the bureaucracy gets, the more corrupt. You know, the Department of Education, everything that gets bigger with people who have nothing to do with the actual practice of what's going on in the classroom. You use Department of Education. Too much power to people in the parliamentarian. Too much power to people we don't know who they are. The faceless, nameless people that control the votes, control the curriculum. that we have no idea and are not not able to be held accountable by the voters. So it's, I don't know. I don't know why she's writing a rent check. She'll be back before the 1st. She runs loud. Man, you're a loud runner.
No, that's just embarrassing. I didn't pay our rent last month or this month.
Well, this month isn't over.
Yeah, but you pay in advance.
Oh, you pay on the 1st.
Mm-hmm. So
I wonder why they are looking at me strange.
Well, that's just embarrassing. That's the second time I've missed. And
I think they know you're good for it.
I know, but it's my responsibility, and that's embarrassing. I need to do better than that. I need to set something on my phone, and they shouldn't have to hunt me down and be like,
they're not.
No. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, I do think men are going to have a supersized role in this midterm election coming up. I think men are taking the economy a little differently than women. And I don't mean to say that in a sexist way, because I handle the finances in our family. I pay all the bills. I handle the taxes. I know the bank account numbers. I could be fleecing my husband blind. And my man would not know about it. I could have offshore accounts, Krugerrands. You could have anything. He wouldn't know. But I think there's a real kick in the pants after a period of time when things are unaffordable. And I think what Joe Biden did and the policies of Weekend at Bernie's, where he had a basic vegetable in charge who wasn't in charge. He was there as a placeholder so Obama could continue his ruination of America. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while to shut off the Keystone XL pipeline and drain the strategic petroleum reserves and sell all of our oil to China, you know, for that to actually kick you in the pants at the pump. And it did. And over the course of his 4 years, we paid $1.11 more a gallon than we did before that. So I think there is a cascading effect that is perhaps different for men. And I think it's also hard for young men who want to, say, for instance, my adult sons. Well, they're almost all adults. Let's just say the oldest ones, right? My oldest son, Michael, he's like, I'd love to meet a young woman. I'd love to be able to settle down and buy a house and one day have children. He says, what do I have to offer? Well, I don't have a house. You can hardly afford rent. It's so expensive, right? How am I going to provide for her? How am I going to be the man that I need to be, that dad was to you and grandpa was to Grammy, when I can't even afford to live without 3 roommates? And I'm like, I get that. But I want to say this president did not do that. The effects are bleeding into the first half of his second term, and I understand that. But do know all of the things that he's trying to accomplish. He wants to abolish the IRS and make it the External Revenue Service, where our taxes are funded by all of the countries that have unfairly charged us ridiculous tariffs to sell our products in their countries, who conversely have not paid similar tariffs here. Trump tried to change that. Democrats stopped it. Got to stop it. Really? Every turn, every move he makes, we got to bring down mortgage rates, got to bring down interest rates. Every move he makes, there's Jerome Powell. I don't think so, right? Everything he does to ease some kind of a burden on the American person is thwarted or diverted. There's a detour sign, there's a flagger, a guy with the things. He's like, no, emergency exit. And you're like, wait a minute, why? Because pain and punishment is the plan. So there's a new Quinnipiac poll out that suggests, and this is damning, that only 24% of men have a favorable view of the Democratic Party. 24% of men. That's god awful, right? That means 64%, nearly 2 out of every 3 men surveyed in this poll, have an unfavorable view of the Democratic Party. Now, this is also a curious wrinkle in this Quinnipiac poll because apparently more voters think war with Iran will make the world less safe. I mean, riddle me that. I wonder. I'm like, what is truly the acuity of the people who are being polled? Well, let's find out. With the war in Iran in its 4th week, a plurality of voters, 42%, think the war is going to make the world less safe. 35% think it's going to make the world safer. And 20% think it's going to make no difference. Well, sharp partisan divides here, as you would imagine. Among Republicans, 79% think the war with Iran will make the world safer. 8% think it's going to make the world less safe. And 11% think it's going to make no difference. Now, independents, 25% think the war is going to make the world safer. 49% think it's the opposite. And Democrats, of course, hook, line, and sinker. 2% of Democrats. Literally, what is it about this? It's like this one homogenized view that if you're going to be a Democrat, you have to all do the exact same thing. There's no deviating. There's no weird wrinkle or nuance or, well, maybe. It's like, no. If it's something that Trump did, I'm against it. Well, this is kind of complicated, though. When you move beyond the war and you start talking about the Democratic and Republican parties. 31% of voters have a favorable opinion of the Democratic Party. 31%. 35% have a favorable opinion of the Republican Party. And independents don't like either, but they prefer Democrats. I don't understand that. I simply do not understand that. Now, men also seem, though, we'll get into some of the more nuance of this poll in a minute, but I wanted to bring in something. I think Harry Anton, was this probably Monday? Harry had it, maybe Tuesday. I looked at it and I found it annoying, so I didn't, Bracken played it for me. And I was like, I don't know. But today, I think it's very applicable. See, it's not just Democrats, men in particular are walking away from. They're just they're disassociating from politics in general. Not pleased with this president either. And so here's Harry Anton. He's at the big board and he's like, look, the young man in particular, these people showed up in droves and gave President Trump, Gen Z gave President Trump the Oval Office again. But they're not happy. And something has to happen relatively quickly to right the sinking ship and bring it back into the harbor. Here's Harry Anton, audio soundbite number 1.
Donald Trump and Republicans won in 2024 because of support from male voters. The only way they can win, given the gender gap in this country, is support from male voters. And male voters are abandoning Donald Trump. Take a look here. This gives the game away. Okay, Trump's standing with men. In November of 2024, he beat Kamala Harris among them by 13 points. Look at where he is now on his net approval rating. Down he goes. It's a 20-point shift away from Donald Trump. He is now 7 points underwater at this particular point among men. I think it is very difficult for Republicans to do well in this midterm cycle if Donald Trump is underwater with men. As my uncle once wrote, where the boys are, where the men are, they are underwater when it comes to Donald Trump.
Okay, so that's overall men, but what about young men who were really influential?
Yes, young men. Of course, there was a massive shift to Donald Trump from 2020 to 2024 among young men. And look right here. Whoa! Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Men under the age of 25 on Trump. He won him in 2024 by 5 points. Look where he is now. The net approval rating way down there. Down we go to negative 19 points. That's nearly a 25-point switcheroo against the president of the United States when it comes to men under the age of 45. Those men that had switched their allegiances over to the Republican Party are seeing what the president is doing. They don't like what the president is doing, and they have very much soured on the president of the United States.
All right, so men have a 39% favorable view of the Republican Party, a 49% unfavorable view. So what about is exactly going on with the youngest of the men, the people like my kids' age? Well, it's like I said in the setup to the segment. It's all about the Benjamins. If you can't afford basic life on your own, right? What are we doing? This young generation believes they are the first that will not be able to live to the means that they grew up living like. They will not be able to duplicate what their parents raised them economically, financially as. That is the thing. It's all about the cost of living.
It's the cost of living. It's inflation. Look at this. Okay, men on Trump and the cost of living. In October of 2024, look at this. Trump was trusted more than Kamala Harris by 10 points on this issue. Now we've got a 40-point switcheroo in the other direction. Look at this. His net approval rating on the cost of living among men is underwater by 30 percentage points. You see this. There is no way in God's green earth that the Republican Party can hold on to the House of Representatives if this number holds. When you're 30 points underwater with the gender that, of course, puts you over the top in the election on the cost of living, the number one issue, that means see you later to that Republican House majority and maybe that Senate majority as well.
So about that and the whole thing on affordability. Now, I realize it's not Harry's job to get into the nuance of why people feel this way, why they're blaming Donald Trump. But that's what it is now. Optics, it doesn't matter. It's how they feel, and that's all that matters. The overall cost of living in the United States during Joe Biden, just living, rose by 20%. So think about everything that you paid for, crank it up by 20%, and yeah, you got the squeeze. How about housing and rent? Up 25% under Joe Biden. 25%. Grocery prices, food, cost 20% more under Joe Biden, and items like, that they beat into the ground, like eggs and meat, spiked above 30% higher at various points. Energy and gasoline pump prices more than doubled. How many people were paying nearly $5 a gallon? That's what we were doing here in Pennsylvania for a long time. How about mortgage and interest rates? They roughly doubled or even more, sharply increasing borrowing costs for homes, cars, credit cards, and business loans. No wonder the young man feels like he's in a box with no way out. The average 30-year fixed mortgage rate was about 2.7 to 3% when Biden took office in early 2021. Just 2 years later, it was peaking around 6.8 to 7.8% for weeks, meaning the typical rate was roughly 2.5 to 3 times higher than the start of his term. Why can't you afford that house? Bing, 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 bing. Well, who did that to you? Was that Donald Trump? Was he the one who shut off the flow of the strategic or the gas pipelines, the Keystone XL? No. Is he the one that sold all of 40% of our strategic petroleum reserve to China? No, he didn't do that. Is he the one that made all of the rules and the regulations untenable? No. This is the administration that said for every new rule we're going to create, every new regulation we have, we're going to carve out 10. This is the guy who's like, the taxes are out of control. This is the guy they fought in the freaking Rose Garden on Liberation Day last April, when he was like, how about we get trillions of dollars from other countries that have been ripping us off? And the Democrats were like, no, that sounds discriminatory. Yeah, it is to you. So, men, I hear you. But come on, figure it out. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, who wants to do the CBS slide? It sounds like a cool dance. It's not. It's not. It's ratings, and it's bad. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. All right. I got 2 products, and I'm going to break them up. My first one is the one I won't live without, Blood Flow 7. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. If there's one thing that you do, and this isn't about weight. This isn't about making your skin look better. It's not about your digestion. It's not about your focus. It's not about how well you sleep. Well, it is because it affects that. This is about getting actual blood flowing through your body. The more blood that flows through your body, the more oxygen gets to all the places it needs to get to, the more nourished your cells are, the healthier you are. Which is why when people have a hard time walking for distances, they get winded, they're always kind of in a malaise, like, you might go look at your cardiologist and be like, I think maybe we need to see if there's some blockage in there. And when they open it up, all of a sudden, a new lease on life. It's called blood flow, and this is what improves it. What's in here is nitric oxide, no drugs, no mystery. It's just a molecule that does what it says it's going to do. And it opens up your blood vessels and your arteries, and so the blood gets flowing, and what you feel is so much stronger, so much sharper, so much more stamina. You are less inclined to get pooped out. Even if you have a pretty rudimentary life and you're not out there running marathons, moving around your house, carrying a load of laundry around, right? Picking up a box, walking through the neighborhood, all of a sudden you're like, I could keep going. bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Game changer. Game changer. Change mine. bloodflow7.com/Wendy. By the way, everything on the site's 30% off. Like, you're going to be so delighted. It's not going to break the bank. It's less than $1 a day. I'm just going to say, what do we spend $5 on? $7 on a Starbucks coffee? That's an entire week of bloodflow7.com. It's all about priorities, babe. It'll change your life. By the way, when you get it, I want you to take notes and I want you to get in touch with me so I can read your testimonial, because it'll be bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Love them.
I don't think it's fair to pull a 22-year-old man right now. Like, you're coming right out of college. You still haven't, you still don't realize what things cost. And they've built them up so much to think that they're going to come out making $75,000 a year right off the bat. And, I think older people get that. And when it comes to midterms, let's be honest, they don't vote anyways in midterms, which is the GOP's biggest problem, is getting people out to vote. But if, you know what, if at any point you think voting Democrat, I mean, I think the biggest thing for the GOP, if they're smart, they're going to say, look at Virginia, look at New York. You're worried about affordability. These people are taxing the out of you. And
how about get
you're
the
getting nothing
alien dudes that try to grab her by the pee?
Yeah.
Right? How about we get them out of high school? Can we do that? That'd be good.
Virginia right off the bat gave themselves a raise and then put 20 new taxes. A walking your dog tax? A walking your dog tax.
People love it.
You want to know why you can't afford your car? Because you have to go every year get emissions on a brand new car. Brand new car in Pennsylvania, you have to get emissions in Allegheny County.
Don't get me started on continuing education either.
No.
What doctors have to go through to recertify every year, the books, the lessons, the test. Such a Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program, my friends. I have an insider's perspective on what's going on with media because, as you well know, I'm a now recovered television news anchor and reporter for many, many years. And though I might not have noticed it at the time, 10 years ago when I was shown the door and basically stayed home with my family for 4 years, which was probably one of the biggest blessings in my life, and started this whole thing that we're doing together, right? I could see changes were coming. I didn't realize how bad it was going to be. So did you see what happened to CBS? They really don't want Tony DeCopel to survive. The knives are out for this guy because they brought him out as the new CBS News anchor several months ago. And apparently the pile on this dude and his ratings are just, it's bad. And it's like, look, it takes time. Things take time. And I think Tony DeCopel is like all the others. Maybe he's a little bit better. Maybe, I don't know. But the amount of people in industry celebrating this guy's struggle, it's like, wow. It's such an insidious, dark place, the media. Blech. So I'm going to read you this from TV Insider. Megyn Kelly blasts network news after Tony DeCopel CBS disaster. Well, she's a former Fox News host, so she knows too. Former Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly has chimed in on the recent ratings disaster for Tony DeCopel CBS Evening News, declaring that, quote, network news is dead and will continue to sink. I don't disagree with her. I don't know how you have a profit. I don't know how you make money off of something that has a steadily declining base. There's just too many opportunities for other people to talk and steal your viewers. And the viewers, by the way, or the people on podcasts and radio shows, we're not lying to people. Kelly's statements follow CBS Evening News slipping below 4 million viewers for the first time since DeCopel took over for Maurice Dubois and John Dickerson on January 5th. They also sucked. For the week of March 9th, the show averaged 3.83 million viewers, similar to the numbers Dickerson and Dubois or Dubois, I don't know how they say his name, were averaging towards the end of their run. Well, you got CNN hemorrhaging viewers, right? You have MSNBC that thinks, well, we're going to have to pair off from the news division over here at NBC because we're so toxic. The parent company wants a divorce, right? So they've kicked us away. We're going to change our name to MS Now. That'll work, won't it? No. Do you know that this program regularly gets more live stream views than CNN gets prime time for its programs? What does that tell you? Besides, I'm fabulous. It tells you that people are tired of being lied to. They're tired of the propaganda. Megyn Kelly is right to say it. Did you hear about the woman from KTLA Channel 5 in Los Angeles? I glommed onto this story because I was an intern 1.5 million years ago before I was in college, I think. So it was in the early 90s. At this TV station, KTLA. So what did they do? They fired a bunch of people from the TV station. Why? We don't have the views. If you don't have the views, you don't have the advertising rates that you need to charge. You can't get the people who want to have commercials on your show because nobody's watching. You know the game. So they fire this broad on her 40th birthday, which sucks. She's a cutie bug. And she's whatever. But she says something that's tough. It's no secret that the local TV news industry is undergoing a massive transformation. Why? Nobody ever answers that question. Why? Alina Abovian, a longtime KTLA reporter who was fired from the station last month, underscored that realization in an interview with the LA Times, telling the paper it's now up to the journalist to figure out how to continue to be storytellers, just in a different format. Local news, she says, will always be very important. However, the delivery and the way the industry takes form are changing. Now, here's the secret truth to all of this. This was happening 10 years ago. If within the last 5 years, if since COVID, you haven't jumped off of this whole failed business model, the propaganda, the left-wing bias, the ownership groups that are not objective, that do not care about truth or fairness, it's already too late for you. I don't know if Alina Abovian is going to be able to masterfully do what Don Lemming has done, or Chris Wallace, or Terry Moran, or any of these other clowns that have lost their jobs because they suck, right? But if you haven't been doing this already, you're not going to just show up and have an audience. There's going to be a precipitous firing. There's going to be a very dark era coming up very fast, not just national, local news. It is no longer profitable because they don't do what Nick Shirley does, ladies and gentlemen. And that is a problem. When we come back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program, you guys know about the wrap-up smear, but what about the wrap-up smear fail? Oh, I got that for you next. I can't imagine 3 guys losing a collective 200 pounds. I love this picture, though. I'm going to hold it up again. It's kind of hard. You got the picture on the bottom, heavier guys, right? And then you look at them now. These two are switched up above. Collectively, they lost over 200 pounds. How do you do that? Well, you hold each other accountable. You do it consistently, right? You stick to the plan. That's what Kelly Morgan and Morgane's Fitness is all about. I like that she gives you a parameter. She's like, you give me 3 months. What can you do for 3 months? A lot. We can give up chocolate for Lent. We can eat well and exercise for 3 months if our life is on the line. And it is. It's not just about how you look. It's about how you feel. And Kelly Morgan has this great program. It's called Ignite 90. And if you go to her website, Morgane's Fitness, MORGAINZ, morgainsfitness.com, you'll be able to click on it and sign up if you want. And here's what it involves. You not going to a gym. Maybe you not even leaving your house. Right? She teaches you the foods that you need to eat, the foods you need to stay away from, and she gives you the exercises, and there are videos. So you can watch somebody do the exercise you're supposed to do. You watch it once, you kind of got it down, and then you get into their routine and just bang it out. Just hammer it out. 1 day at a time. And then you'll look like these guys. morgainsfitness.com. All right, what's going on out there? Let's see what we're doing. I know we've had some weird 2.12. Wow. That is bad. And I don't mean to criticize, but 4,600. It's weird numbers. Weird. Everything on the leaderboard has been odd. If I look at what Bongino and Steven Crowder do on this platform, Rumble, it's not uncommon for Dan Bongino to have 1 million views on a program. And lately he's had 600,000. It's like, kind of odd. Kind of weird. Never know why. I don't know, which is why I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you. It was very interesting. I lost a big advertiser about 2 months ago. It was for the best, but it was for a significant amount of money. And I was concerned. One, if you lose an advertiser, you're concerned that you didn't do a good job, that you somehow have disappointed the sponsor. The reality is maybe the product overstayed its welcome. It just wasn't moving the needle. And so they pulled. Lo and behold, ring, ring, ring. All of these people are like, we want to tap into your audience. They are this, they are that. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty protective of them. So I think we got a great product starting next week. And I think it's going to be extraordinarily beneficial for a lot of people, including my son, Michael. And I'm very excited about that. I've been super geeked about having tulip blooms. I love them. I think they're phenomenal. I think that life is complicated. And if there's a way you can get a good product on a discount, try something that might change your life for the better, why not? Look at how few rumbles, Brock. It's a bummer. Very few rumbles. I'd love to point her and ask about a question, but I feel creepy doing that. 199 comments on the site. So thank you. Oh my God, it's freezing in here now. Did you just get a whole blast?
No.
So Gary Ireland reached out to me. He's like, I need to come to your house and measure all of your skylights too. I have a lot of skylights. 1, 2.
I thought you said 12.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. I'm going to see if he has a friends and family discount.
Well, the ones in the bathroom shouldn't need changed, should they?
They're 15 years old.
Oh, even when they remodeled your bathroom, you didn't redo the window.
That was 15 years ago.
Your master bathroom.
Oh, no. Those are fine. Yeah. He's looking at the ones on the other side of the house. It was great being in the shower when he was walking up on the roof as I'm standing underneath the skylight. I'm like, please don't come over here, Gary Ireland. Please don't come over here, Gary Ireland. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com.
Who knows? Maybe you got a discount if he...
After many shady characters put on a roof, tried to fix it, we finally got to Ireland, top notch. They immediately assessed the situation. They fixed it properly. It was a harsh lesson to learn that price does matter. Better to pay up front than pay on the back end like we did. Get what you pay for the best way right away. Don't hesitate to call and get whatever you need done. If we do not beat you to it because these guys are awesome. Oh, thank you for fixing our roof and the expert advice. We had quotes from 3 different companies. We knew 2 minutes after Tom from Ireland Contracting. He's the one who quoted me too. We knew that we were going to use him even before we got the quote. Ireland Contracting is professional. They're good at communicating. An excellent team on site. Very clean, very neat. The roof looks tremendous. I have already suggested the company to several friends and coworkers. Best of all, they have the most favorable quote. I recommend Ireland Contracting. How about our friend Paul, who owns Stinkies, sent me a picture because his neighbor across the street has Ireland there at his house right now. I'm like, there you go. I love them. They're wonderful. Men do not like what's going on in this country.
See, I don't buy it. It's all how you ask the question. If you ask Michael right now, what would you rather have? Donald Trump and Republicans or Democrats? That's the question. What do you want? Communism, socialism, or do you want the ability to possibly afford a house one day?
Or do you want to live in a cute little 15-minute city where you ride your little bicycle, It's got a flag and a thing goes beep, beep.
So what? They don't like Trump. What are your options?
Kamala. That'll be fabulous. They got nothing.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. Delighted, as always, to share some quiet time with you here. I don't know how quiet it is. You know the wrap-up smear? You know the thing I found most interesting about Nancy Pelosi? Standing on a live microphone, right, at a podium, kind of like Cory Booker, acting like he was outraged at the carousel baggage claim. Oh, right? There's Nancy Pelosi standing there with a live mic explaining to the media. Giddily, I should say. She was giddy as she was explaining the scumbag philosophy of trying to ruin somebody's reputation and take them down, right? It's a wrap-up smear. You know how it goes, right? Well, first of all, you make up some shady crap about somebody, right? Probably stuff you would never believe. Then you get one of these super horny reporters who wants a breaking news. Let me scoop the competition. Give me something that I don't have to work for. Well, we'll give it to you. It's a bad story, but they're going to run with it because we told them that they can trust it. Fools. Then they're going to go out. They're going to do a story. Blue, blue, blue. Oh my gosh, breaking news. And then we're going to take their newspaper and be like, look, the New York Times or USA Today is reporting that blah, blah, blah is going on. That's an outrage. And that's how you create the wrap-up smear. You merchandise a lie by basically laundering it through the organization that nobody trusts anymore, which would be the media, right? And so you have to have the bottom of the barrel media outlets who are willing to be like, okay, I'll do it. Well, cue MS Now. So this is the story, and this is how it works. Number one, start with a salacious claim. And this is the story that they're trying to sell on MS Now with the help of a dirty congressman named Jamie Raskin, who Brock likes to call Raskins, but I won't correct him right now. Anyway, start with a salacious claim. Trump kept super secret documents after leaving office because he wanted to financially benefit from them. That's the claim, right? That the billionaire real estate tycoon, right? Who could buy and sell all of us 50 million times. The guy who doesn't take a paycheck, right? Who works for free for the American people. He took classified documents when he was leaving the White House in 2021, and he took them because he wanted to profit financially from them. Sounds idiotic. Well, the dumber, the better, apparently. Number two, after you drop the salacious claim, you got a desperate Democrat trying to help that claim gain traction. Here's Jamie Raskin. He's going to put it out there. He's going to write a letter demanding answers. I've heard from somebody who's probably not named, right? It's part of an ongoing investigation that Donald Trump stole classified documents because he wanted to get rich off of them, right? And then you got to drop it off on the media. MS Now takes the bait. They amplify it, and then Democrats merchandise it in the White House press briefing room to see if they could stick the landing. So I want to read you the story, and then we're all going to figure out how this works. This is the story on MS Now that they want you to believe. Trump appeared to have business motive for keeping classified documents Jack Smith finds. So Jack Smith, who wasn't confirmed by the Senate, who was a two-bid zero loser, whose number one objective was to get Trump, and who went on this wild witch hunt in order to do that. He says that it looks like, it kind of feels like, well, I mean, maybe Trump was trying to keep classified documents to use them for his own financial benefit. Now, anybody hearing that would be like, that's the dumbest thing I've heard. Well, when you're desperate, here we go. This is the story that MS Now has written about this. Special counsel Jack Smith gathered evidence that then candidate Donald Trump took many top secret documents that related to his worldwide business interests, and investigators considered this a likely motive for Trump concealing them at his Florida club after he left the White House, according to newly released case records. Really? The special prosecutor also has evidence indicated that after leaving office, Trump had shown a classified map to passengers on a private plane, including his future chief of staff, Susie Wiles, and took at least one document that was so super secret that only 6 people had the authority to review it, according to a memo reviewed by MS Now and cited by the House Judiciary Committee's ranking Democrat, Jamie Raskin of Maryland. So we have a supposition of something that could have happened that's dropped by a corrupt prosecutor through the channels of a dirty congressperson and then published on a suck news channel. But you should totally believe it. Got it. Trump's reason for taking hundreds of pages of classified documents when he left office in January of 2021 and then concealing them, right? They said that when the Justice Department subpoenaed him for their return in May 2022 has been one of the larger mysteries of the case. No, there's no mystery. The mystery is, why did you really raid Mar-a-Lago? What were you really worried about? What does Trump have that the deep state can't afford you to learn about? Because that was the story of the raid of Mar-a-Lago. I believe it was the Crossfire Hurricane binder that President Trump had declassified and was going to hand out to all the reporters on his way out the door on January 20th of 2021, when the new administration, Biden's, gathered all the binders back and could not find one. Where did it go? What happened to it? Everything is in that. Trump knows everything that we did to him. Russia, Russia, Russia. Right? I think they raided Mar-a-Lago to find it. So MSNBC puts out this story. It's all hyperbole. It's supposition. It could be, maybe, sort of feels like it. Well, if I shake my magic 8-ball, what's it going to tell me? Let's run with it. I think we should totally run with it, says MSNBC. So Caroline Leavitt is in the White House press briefing room yesterday, and she's got a question from actually Real America's Voice. A reporter asks her for a comment, right? MSNBC is running this story about Trump and classified documents. He took the classified documents because there was some financial benefit to him. Jamie Raskin's talking about this. Now they want to have an investigation. It's because they have nothing except making up garbage, wrap up, smear, or otherwise about this president. Nothing they have has worked. They are so frustrated. Caroline Leavitt, to her credit, was locked and loaded for the retort, which was blistering. Let's listen.
Does the White House have a comment on a letter that was sent from Congressman Raskin to the DOJ alleging that the DOJ recklessly released damning information in regards to President Trump's documents?
Yes, I saw that letter from Congressman Raskin this morning, who I would add has zero credibility, and this letter was clearly a cheap political stunt. What the congressman did here, Brian, and for everyone in the room who's hopefully not reporting on this as fact, is that he took untrue and salacious claims in a memo that was produced by Jack Smith, who has been completely discredited for his lawfare and his witch hunts against this president. And that information was unverified. It never even made it into the indictment because it was so unverified. And what happened to that indictment anyway? It was thrown out. And Jack Smith has been proven, again, to be a prosecutor on a witch hunt against President Trump. He tried to throw him in jail ahead of the 2024 election. The Biden Department of Justice was fully on board with this lawfare campaign. And in fact, this story that was concocted by Congressman Raskin was so ridiculous, I understand his communications team reached out to some outlets in this room who responsibly said, we're not going to write this because this is just too much. However, of course, MS Now did write that story this morning because they continue to be left-wing propaganda for the Democrat Party. But I think Jack Smith has been proven to be a liar and a fraud. And this is, again, a cheap political stunt from a Democrat on Capitol Hill who I think wants to get himself on cable television.
Can you imagine? I guess I understand a little bit of the derangement, TDS, that they are afflicted by. Because they tried, they spied, they wiretapped, they did everything they could. They couldn't find anything on this guy. They poured over 1.3 million documents with Jeffrey Epstein. They can't connect the guy to anybody. He doesn't do the wrong thing. He doesn't cheat on his wife. He doesn't cheat on his taxes. He doesn't screw over people in business deals. So they had to make stuff up. Russia, Russia, Russia. He's a Russian plant. He was trying to get Zelensky to, investigate his political opponent. Outrage! He went to a hotel that Barack Obama and Michelle slept in, and he had hookers urinate on him. Sounds exactly so like kinky President Trump, right? The grandpa of a better age and perhaps a better generation. They had to make it up. They had to make this up. And she just absolutely took him down. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, if it was not for double standards, congressional Democrats would have none at all. I have no problems with the Democrat whose reported crimes are 100 times more costly. Wait, what? Next. This is a very interesting little thing. The razor-thin majority of the House for the Republicans, the Democrats can neither stand to lose a single person either. And so you've gotten Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats in a pickle because they have a member of their own caucus, a Florida congresswoman, if I'm not mistaken, who's accused of 100 times the fraud and the theft of money that George Santos was excommunicated from or because of. 100 times. His was like $500,000 of campaign cash that he used for other things. Okay. This cat, $5 million that she swindled from FEMA, allegedly. And Hakeem Jeffries is like, I'm not going to say that she should be removed.
Of course not.
She's innocent until proven guilty. January 6ers weren't.
Hell, Bob
Menendez.
Bob was still on the international, whatever it was, and he was under investigation.
That's right. He was still on the Senate Finance Committee.
Yeah,
and you're like,
you're like,
whatever it was. There's like some
finance. Should we really trust Gold Bob?
Yeah. Can you get the stacks of cash out of the coat pockets and put it somewhere more easily accessed? Can you put it underneath the mattress, Bob? I want to tell you about GLP Gold 1. This is one of those things that I don't have to take. If you have 10, 20, 40, 100 pounds that you want to lose, this is something that you're going to find extraordinarily intriguing. And here's why, because it does for you what the weight loss injections do without the side effects. Is you're not going to get nauseous. You're not going to be like flatlining with just like malaise. This is going to be something that's very interesting for people who want to lose weight. GLP-1 is a hormone. And it basically allows your body to realize you don't need to eat anymore. And sometimes you don't have as much as you need. And so some people just eat. And that's why gastric bypass is a thing. What if you didn't have to do that? Instead, you could get your brain and your body functioning on the same circuit. GLP-1 Gold operates in that fashion. It reconnects your brain and your belly through this hormone that connects and says when you're full and before actually you really are, it's like you don't need to eat anymore. And so you don't. It's amazing. It's the same thing as having a gastric bypass without the surgery, without needing somebody to control the size of your stomach. It controls the size of your appetite. And it's brilliant. And it's ridiculously affordable. Can you imagine losing weight with something like this for under $35 a month? Well, you should, because that's what you get with the promo code Wendy30. It's all part of Juvenon. This is all part of the sponsor I really, really enjoy. And it's called bloodflow7.com/Wendy. That's the landing page, GLP-1 Gold. Check it out. Read the reviews, read the comments, read the ingredients, talk to your doctor if you want, see if it's something for you. I think you're really going to be interested by it. At a fraction of the cost of other things, without the scary side effects and unknowns.
I think that's the scary thing anymore.
The side effect, yeah. I don't know.
Like going in and the side effects of like back surgery. You know, I watched my dad go through it and going and trying different things that aren't invasive and aren't like same with the GLP-1 Gold. I don't know. Shots?
Yes.
Do I really want to get a shot?
It sounds.
I mean, I know guys that have to get it because they're type 1s, but all right, I'm not going to disappoint you guys.
What do you mean?
I promise.
Radio program, you know, it was over $500,000 of allegedly misused campaign money that got George Santos kicked out as a Republican from the House of Representatives. But if it's a Democrat and the reported theft is 100 times worse, well, let's just look the other way. Seriously. Double standard it's an understatement. Democrats backed the expulsion before, but now they're all quiet on alleged $5 million FEMA fraud. This is nuts. Democrat lawmakers refuse to criticize their fellow lawmaker, U.S. Democrat Rep. Sheila Shafidlis, I don't even know how you say her last name, McCormick, who's accused of stealing $5 million from FEMA, meant to help people devastated by disasters. Okay, this woman is in the House of Representatives, right? $5 million. About 206 House Democrats voted to expel former Republican U.S. Representative George Santos from Congress in 2023 because he allegedly misused campaign funds and committed fraud. But when it's a Democrat lawmaker doing it, their mom on the issue, Shafidlis McCormick faces an ethics hearing today. So what did she do? Apparently she and others allegedly received a $5 million overpayment in FEMA funds. Instead of returning the money, she allegedly spent it on her 2021 congressional campaign and gave it away to friends and family. What could be wrong with that? I mean, it is very expensive to run a campaign for Congress. You need help, and there it was staring at me. I mean, really? If she's convicted, Shafidlis Phyllis McCormick faces up to 53 years in prison. 53 years! Earlier this year, Hakeem Jeffries said that he would not vote to expel her. Now, this is odd, unless you are aware of it. And the aware of it is for me, but not for thee, right? We're going to get rid of him. We're going to get rid of what? Bob Goldbar Menendez, but not this cat, not this chick, not this babe. Why? Because they cannot stand to lose a single member before the midterm elections. And if that means saying something as obnoxious as your House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, saying this about his feelings about this representative, well, there you go.
I mentioned on Friday that Congresswoman Shafidlis McCormick is entitled to the presumption of innocence like every other American. I'm a hard no as it relates to the effort to expel her, and it's going to fail.
It's going to is that sort of like when all the votes are counted, Joe Biden will be the winner? Because I remember that one too. So let me tell you quickly about this woman. She was indicted in November for defrauding the government of $5 million in disaster assistance and using it to get elected to Congress. Prosecutors say she, along with her brother and others, bid for and won contracts to staff COVID vaccine registration drives for their company called Trinity Healthcare Services. But when it was overpaid by $5 million, they refused to give the money back, which she then used for her campaign. And this is the person that Hakeem Jeffries says is innocent until proven guilty. Well, you know what? So were about 1,500 January 6 defendants. You didn't consider them innocent at all, Hakeem. In fact, you guys set a trap for them. And then you withheld exculpatory information from them. And then you presented to the American people a bogus commission and their findings of suck, which was all to create the smokescreen so that we didn't pay attention to the theft of the 2020 election. But we don't remember, or we don't forget, rather, Hakeem. I will never forget. Now, am I holding my breath in today's edition of Crime and Punishment that this congresswoman, who is a black woman, Democrat, is ever going to be held to account? I know. And that is the even sadder statement today. It's pain and punishment, because that, my friends, is the plan. Quick time out. We'll be right back with author Mike McCormick. From the Substack, Midnight in the Laptop of Good and Evil, he is a former White House stenographer who has some very curious things to say about the Vatican and Barack Obama actually funding the mullahs to take off of Israel. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. That was confusing, but you know what I mean. All right. So what do you need from me?
Okay, I need you to get out and unplug, even turn that thing off. Okay, now I need you guys to tell me if you can hear me or not. This is the true test of if you'll be able to hear me. I'm not live. You'll be able to hear me? Yep, we're good to go. Who needs Wendy Bell? Who needs Wendy Bell? McCormick set up. I thought Mike's interview, happy fishing. I thought Mike's interview with Wendy, which you're going to obviously see now, is tying the Catholic Church. You're hearing me through my computer now. So that is why it sounds distant. It sounds like the pet show. It's going to sound like the pet show because I can't run it through backstory. I can't run it through the regular system that we use because you'll get backfeed. So this way, excuse me, the radio will get their side and you guys will get your side. And so you're not hearing me through the mixer and everything through the mic. This is just radio. So that's why the sound is going to be a little different, but you only have to put up with me for, I want to say, less than 5 minutes. I think I'm going to go back to the men not supporting Trump and the young people not supporting Trump. Because it just hits differently because what are your options? You know, for the longest time in this country, we voted for the lesser of two evils. Let's just keep, and I don't even think Trump's evil. I enjoy what Trump's doing for America. How young people, and it's all how you frame the question. The framing of the question is for these polls, do you like Donald Trump? No. Well, that doesn't answer the question. It doesn't determine the midterms. That doesn't determine who you're going to vote for. You're going to vote for what's best for the country. And you might not like it. You might not like Trump. Young men might not like Trump. But right now, he's what's best for America. It's just as simple as that. You think you pay a lot of taxes now? Ask Virginia. Ask New York, where you can crap on the streets and house all the illegals. Your money's going to pay for that. So I don't like maybe I won't do that since I just kind of did to you guys. I don't know. I think the framing of Harry's questions or Quinnipiac or whoever he did is disingenuous because, like I said, if you just say, do you like, they're like, do you like barbecue chicken? Me, not so much. I'd rather have regular chicken. I'm not a big barbecue guy. But then if you frame it of, do you like barbecue chicken or liver? I'm going to select barbecue chicken because I can at least tolerate barbecue chicken. Stupid analogy, but it works. I mean, you vote for your own interest. And if you think things aren't affordable now, I mean, holy cow. I don't know what to tell you if you think so. But I also don't think it's fair to question 22-year-olds about the real world because someone said you were in the jungle when you were 18. That's just not the way it is now. And it's an argument that doesn't necessarily fit because things were different 30 years ago, and now, like I said, kids are coming out of school thinking they're going to be breaking the bank. Just not going to happen. Most kids don't come out of school with six-figure gigs. They just don't. And there's not that many six-figure gigs to go around anymore. For every, I want to say, good job, there's a bunch that you have to start at the beginning because you don't know. I think it's going to be huge for the trades. Those kids are coming out with no debt. What should they vote for? You're getting off the college kicks. All right, so you guys will not hear bumper music coming into this. See, this is what Wendy doesn't have to worry about, timing things out and talking at the same time. All right, here we go.
To the Wendy Bell radio program. We don't do guests an awful lot. And I will say that my favorite has got to be author and former White House stenographer under like a million presidents, Mike McCormick. He is the author of the Substack, Midnight in the Laptop of Good and Evil. Michael, welcome back. It's almost like we've got a few things to talk about.
Hey, Wendy, it's always good to be back with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You piqued my attention this week when you dropped this Substack entitled Barack Obama and the Vatican Helped Islamic Terrorists Attack Israel. And I was like, wait a minute, what? That's a take that we haven't been talking about, Mike. And I wanted to open the door to this conversation because this is pretty serious.
Yeah. And this comes from when I worked with Barack Obama. I was his White House stenographer from 2010 through 2017, right when they left. But most of the time I was with Joe Biden. But what happened was I wrote my Substack because what I remember was, and I wrote this in my book, the book is An Almost Insurmountable Evil. What happened was the Obama White House was actually working as they were developing the Iran nuclear deal. They were working behind the scenes with the Vatican through this terrible person who was then a cardinal, a Catholic cardinal, Theodore McCarrick. McCarrick was going in and out of the Obama White House regularly, and he was part of the process that I think they used to put in this very liberal Pope named Pope Francis. So that occurred in 2013. And right around 2014 is when we started hearing about this Iran nuclear deal. We've got this great Iran nuclear deal we want to roll out. And no one was really sure what it meant. And it was basically based on what Joe Biden was always saying. We're going to have surveillance. They're going to stop the they talked about the enrichment of uranium was, this process where they spin these things. And so we're going to have surveillance and we're going to cover all this stuff. So that's what they were selling to the public. Behind the scenes, this guy, Theodore McCarrick, was actually working in March of 2014. He went to Tehran with members of the U.S. Catholic Conference of Bishops, and they met with the mullahs to discuss religion. But what they were really discussing was this Iran nuclear deal. What do you guys want from us? And then he comes back to the United States, meets with people in the White House. Weeks after that, Obama goes back to Rome and meets with Pope Francis at the Vatican. And they're talking about, and he's literally telling Pope Francis what he wants him to do in the Middle East to help him sell this Iranian nuclear deal, which was a terrible deal for Americas. It was a terrible deal for Israel. And yet they wanted it to get this. They're basically paying off terrorists. And they used the Vatican. The Vatican agreed to do it. So Pope Francis and Theodore McCarrick traveled to the Holy Land. Weeks after Obama leaves the Vatican, they traveled to the Holy Land they go to Jordan, they went to the West Bank, and they went to Israel. And they had meetings there. They didn't meet with Netanyahu. They were very clear about, we're not talking to Netanyahu. So this is, this is an Obama White House that did not like Netanyahu. Netanyahu didn't like them. And this is 2014, and that's the rollout of the nuclear deal. And this was behind the scenes, and people didn't know about it until I figured it out when I wrote my book and saw this sort of connected these dots.
Now, tell me what's the incentive of Obama negotiating or working with the Vatican to provide Islamic terrorists weapons of mass destruction? Like, what's in it for Obama? What's in his mind?
I think the Vatican to them was what I call morality laundering. In other words, if the Vatican was over there talking to people, that meant it was okay. Like the Vatican talked about, they're like right now, they're talking about, the Pope Leo is criticizing Trump's attack on Iran. That's what prompted me to write the Substack, because the Vatican now is criticizing what Trump is doing against Iran. And 10 years ago, they were helping Iran secretly. And there's a guy who's involved in both aspects of this timeline. His name is Cardinal Pietro Parolin. Cardinal Parolin was the Secretary of State in the Vatican when this Iran deal was being discussed in 2014. So he met with Obama during this March 2014 meeting. Well, he's still the Secretary of State in the Vatican, and he's met with J.D. Vance a year ago. And there's the Trump administration and the Vatican are at odds right now. The Trump administration went back on what Biden was doing, and they cut back on a lot of government support that was going into the pockets of the Catholic Church through the Catholic Relief Services and the U.S. Council of Catholic Bishops. So this process had been going on for 10 years under Obama. Trump comes in 2016 and steps in front of it. And that's when the Vatican, and if you remember, Pope Francis, as Trump was running for president in 2016, Pope Francis came out and was critical of him.
I remember.
Personally critical of him. And in February of 2016, he said, I don't know who this businessman is, but if he's talking about building walls, not bridges, he should be, that's not Christian or something. And Trump got really mad. When Pope Francis said that, he was in Mexico where they were getting ready to talk about illegal immigration. And that's when they got rid of President Trump in 2020 with what we think is a fake election, and Pope Francis had a hand in that too. That's when they brought in all this illegal immigration, and the Catholic Church got billions of refugee resettlement funds. And that's what J.D. Vance went over and told him a year ago. You're not getting any more, and they've been at odds ever since. And now Trump is going after Venezuela, he's going after Iran. And this guy, Pietro Parolin, guess where he was on his third ambassadorship for the Vatican in the mid-2000s? He was in Venezuela. And before that, he was in Mexico. And before that, he was in Nigeria. This guy has a history of doing really backroom, dirty deals on behalf of the Vatican with wealthy oil states that are extremely corrupt. And Trump's going through and clearing out all of that. And that's what's happening right now with the Iran attack. I'm not going to call it a war, but it's an attack.
I found it interesting in your Substack. You talk about Barack Obama and how he planted the seeds of normalizing this relationship between Iran, or at least Islam, and America. And he was talking about falsely lying about Thomas Jefferson. Yes. In your Substack, right. You were talking about going back hundreds of years. Barack Obama is quoting this, but he's planting the seeds to normalize relations with Iran to ultimately create this nuclear deal, which Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, to their credit, their mission was to obliterate that. Obama is dark.
Dark. Yeah, that part of the Substack came from an article that was written by a Catholic priest, an eminent Catholic priest named Father George Rutler. And he wrote an article in a magazine, Crisis Magazine, in 2012, basically quoting Obama, who had this sort of statement at a Muslim iftar dinner, sort of a celebration of Ramadan. And Obama went out and laid out all these lies about, how our original founding fathers, led by Thomas Jefferson, had this affinity for Islam. Well, that's not true. The Barbary pirates were a terrible force, kidnapping U.S. naval people, sailors, and that's where and so Thomas Jefferson declared war on them, and he sent Marines there. That's where the hymn in the Marine Corps song, "The Shores of Tripoli," comes from. He sent the Marines. That was one of their first battles, to Tripoli, the Barbary pirates, to free all these American sailors. That's what Father Rutler was writing about, and that's what Barack Obama was lying about. And he was lying about to set up this fake relationship with Islam, which is still very dark.
And it's interesting that you say that, because there are now polls coming out, Mike, that say the majority of Americans, though slim, don't agree with the president's moves to attack Iran. I don't know in what world anyone is living, if they have any kind of historical knowledge, that you would not celebrate the legacy of terror being obliterated, at least to the degree that it has been so far. Wrap your mind around that for me.
Right. When I wrote this Substack, I was very careful to write about terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's in Iran right now, is they're led by a group of terrorists. And that's what the fight is against. There are good people in Iran. There are good people throughout the Middle East who worship Islam. I personally don't feel like Islam is a threat to me here in America. There are people who follow Islam who are a threat to me. I don't know them. I don't associate with them, probably because they don't want to associate with me. But what Trump is doing is going after the terrorists. He went after the terrorists in Venezuela. He's gone after the terrorists and the cartel people in Mexico. And he's going now after the terrorists in Iran. He's taking the evil out of the world. And a lot of people don't get to see that, because that's the way the mainstream media presents it to them.
It was interesting. One of the cut lines on your Substack said, Obama's lies and Pope Francis's fake Catholicism funded and armed the evil Iran nuclear deal. It's got to be hard, Mike. A man as faithful as you are scholarly when it comes to the Catholic faith. To be able to talk as lucidly as you do, as honestly as you do about the problems in the Vatican. Is Leo any better?
No. Leo's his second in command is the same guy.
Exactly.
Pietro Parolin. So there's been no improvement in the Vatican hierarchy. And as long as these Pietro Parolin and there's a whole cadre of cardinals that are very dirty and dark. They've been there a long time.
So they install who they want.
What's that?
They install who they want.
That's exactly. And the guy here, and so there's 3 cardinals that came out and were very vehement against President Trump's policies on ICE. The cardinal here in Washington, a guy named McElroy, the cardinal in Newark, a guy named Tobin, and the cardinal in Chicago, a guy named Supich. The cardinal in Newark, Tobin, was working with former White House counsel Kathy Rumler.
Who's all over the Epstein files.
She lost her job from the Epstein files. Well, he was working with her because she was investigating what was going on in the Catholic Diocese of Newark, and it was a cover-up. And that's been a cover-up ever since. So this guy Tobin is as dirty as anybody, and he should be out of there.
It almost seems like an insurmountable evil. Yes?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right.
An apropos name for your book. All right. So I want to talk to you about your thoughts about what President Trump tweeted or truthed about the passing of Robert Mueller. He said, good, I'm glad he's dead. And the left went haywire. You have followed and written down the spoken word of these men, of presidents for many years. What is your take of what Trump said? And is it something we're celebrating that guy's dead?
Robert Mueller carried a lot of darkness into the White House during the Bush years. He was the head of the FBI during the Bush years after 9/11. And he would go in every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning and do they call it the President's Daily Briefing. They always talked about this. Secretary of Defense was in there. FBI director, CIA director, and National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice was in there. And one of the things that and Vice President Cheney was in there. One of the things that they always talked about, and I don't think people remember this, but there was an anthrax attack in late 2011. So was it 2011 or 2012? I think it was 2011. So 9/11 happens, and then in the winter there was an anthrax attack here in D.C. and a bunch of postal workers got killed. Anthrax came through the mail and killed them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the FBI was investigating it. They never found the guy. They never found who did it. There was a kind of a conclusion of the investigation was when one guy committed who was affiliated with Fort Street Church out in Maryland, which is where the anthrax experiments were being done. He committed suicide, and they pinned it all on him. But I remember Vice President Cheney in speeches joking about how what's his name, the
Mueller.
FBI director
Mueller
couldn't figure out who did the anthrax. I mean, it was like a joke. It was like an inside joke.
It's like having
Director Mueller's anthrax investigation. Yeah, that's going great.
It's almost like the deep state's been around for a lot longer than maybe a lot of us have known. Mike McCormick, I love having you. Substack, midnight in the laptop of good and evil. That is Mike McCormick. Thank you, sir. We'll take a quick break right back after this on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
So I kind of disagree with Mike a little bit. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I think Islam is I think Islam is a problem because of the fanatics, because we can't separate the fanaticism from the everyday person that follows the Islam faith. I watched something on Glenn Beck's new venture called The Torch, glennbeck.com, about, he calls them Islamists, is the radical part of Islam. Well, if we can't separate you and we can't tell the difference, and, are we educated on Islam? I'm not. I know what I see just like you guys do. Like, there's a lot of problems. And I don't think that pretending like radical Islam is not a problem. Not that he's saying it's not a problem, but it just doesn't mesh with what America is. It doesn't mesh with who we are and what we believe. Like, if you're for Sharia law and bringing in and changing the law, you're talking about getting rid of the Constitution. If you believe in hardcore Islam, that's what it is, and you believe in Sharia law, you don't fit. You just don't fit in this country. That's not how we roll. Like, you don't have to be a feminist to say that I don't think women need to be in headscarves and married at 13 and multiple wives. That's, who would want that? But why to think that Islam isn't a problem? And I think, we used to have John Guandolo on a lot, and he's been screaming from the rooftops for a while. And when these people infiltrate your local elections, we've seen it. You start hearing the call of prayer in Dearborn, Michigan, and other places, and they're Times Square. If you let the radical control your faith, if you associate your faith with those radicals, if you're a radical Christian, and you're a Christian, but there's these, what's that place, the Westboro Baptists? If you let them become the norm to the majority, you're going to lose it, and people aren't going to tolerate it. They're not going to tolerate it. And I think we're getting to a point where a lot of people aren't tolerating things anymore, and that's why it looks divisive. It looks like we're worlds apart, but no, we're just worlds apart from that crazy, just the crazy side of it. Yeah, they do honor killings. That doesn't jive with the way you and I grew up. And all these women voting for Mandami, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't resonate how you can look at that and say, oh yeah, I'm all down with headscarves and not having any kind of legal right in Sharia law or just right as a woman. I don't get it. All right, we're going to see if we can make this radio thing work for a couple minutes. This could be touch and go and dicey. You won't hear music. So Wendy had to catch a flight, and you are stuck with me till the end of the show, which is only a couple minutes, so you should be fine. America has a lot of problems right now. You heard Mike McCormick talking with Wendy about Islam. Islam is definitely part of the problem, and the way people are almost accepting Islam as, well, it doesn't affect me. Well, how many things do we talk about that hasn't affected us? The transgender thing didn't really affect us until it got into politics. And now we have people pushing these things, and now we find out it's in the schools and everything else. So to turn a blind eye to Islam or any other thing that seems fringe now, you can't think of the now. You have to think, how is this going to grow into something that will not be acceptable with me? And I just think that there are certain things we need to fix in this country. That's one of them. But also the SAVE Act, we need to get this thing passed. I just saw an every single senator, Democrat just blocked the GOP proposal requiring photo ID in nationwide elections, 53 to 47. 53 to 47 to have safe elections? I don't get it. I don't get it. I need to take an ID to do anything. Want to enroll your kids in school? Have to have an ID. You want to go get a beer? Have to have an ID. You want to drive a car? Have to. All our basic necessities in life, the things that we enjoy doing. You want to fish? You got to have a license. You want to hunt? You got to have a license. You want to own a gun? You got to have a background check. If it's a short barrel rifle, you have to have fingerprints, licenses to carry a gun. You want to conceal and carry, you have to have a license, a permit for it. So to me, Democrats right now are just saying, we want fraud. And that's all they want. We're not going to win. We know we're not going to win. So we're going to have to fake it till we make it. We're going to keep cheating. We're going to keep manipulating the systems. And Chuck Schumer said he wanted amnesty for everyone. That's just not a feasible idea in America. You can't let 20 million people across 10 million people across the border and expect there not to be fraud. We see how much fraud's going on in the country right now with healthcare, with every aspect of our life. There is fraud. And when the government's involved, there's even more fraud. So Democrats need to get their crap together, and Republicans need to not bend a knee at all. We are to the point that you have to do what you have to do. And there is going to be collateral damage. And right now the collateral damage is the TSA workers and the DHS people who aren't ICE. There's collateral damage, and that's a shame that there has to be collateral damage. But our elections are way too important not to take it seriously and not to bend a knee to Chuck Schumer, to Nancy Pelosi, to any other Democrat that thinks this might be a good idea to have illegals voting. Let ICE go to polling places. Let them check IDs. Check ID to vote. We check IDs to have a drink. Why not check our ID to vote in our elections? Once again, thanks again for listening to the Wendy Bell Radio Network. We'll be back on Monday. See you then. Or as Wendy likes to say, peace.